Chapter 540. Rustle, rustle. The sound from the yellow sand did not make Sima Yue panic. She just sat in the tent and looked outside leisurely. Kacha. The sound of pincers opening and closing could be heard. Then, one by one, large red pincers emerged from the yellow sand, followed by a 1 to 2 foot long red scorpion. Kacha. Kacha. 5 red scorpions surrounded Sima Yue and her tent in the middle, each of their eyes shining with hunger. Such large scorpions. I don't know if they're real or just illusions. It would be great if they're real. Sima Yue touched her chin and pondered while looking at the red scorpions. Seeing that Sima Yue seemed to have ideas about them, the red scorpions were furious. One of them waved its large pincers, and the other 4 immediately attacked her. Sima Yue did not hesitate as she condensed a fireball and threw it at the red scorpions. Poochie. The fireball hit the red scorpions, but it only made their movements pause for a moment. It did not cause any substantial damage to them. Immune to fire? Sima Yue looked at the red scorpions in astonishment as she dodged the poison they spat out. Because a few of them were attacking her at the same time, she was careless and her clothes were swept by the poison. Immediately, a large hole was corroded. Damn, it hurts. The hem of the shirt brushed against her leg, and a burning pain spread all over her body. What a poisonous liquid. If this was real, it would be best to use it to refine the poison. Thinking of this, her eyes lit up. She leaped and quickly jumped out of the red scorpion's heads and went outside. Since you're immune to fire, try something else. She formed a seal with her hands, and a metal whip quickly appeared in front of her. She grabbed the whip and quickly swung it at the red scorpions. If she guessed correctly, these red scorpions should have lived under the desert and were exposed to high temperatures all year round, so they gradually became immune to fire. Fire and metal were the 2 attributes with the most attacking power. Since the fire attribute was useless, she would choose the metal attribute. Pa! The whip hit a red scorpion, and the barbs on the whip directly pierced through its shell and into its flesh. She withdrew her whip, and blood flowed out from its body. Chi! A scorpion ambushed her and spat venom at her. She quickly dodged to the side. The venom landed on the yellow sand and emitted a corrosive smell. They're bullying us with numbers. She snorted and brandished her whip. In an instant it coiled around a red scorpion. Then, with a forceful swing, that scorpion was flung far away by her. She rolled and flung again. Within a few breaths, the 3 scorpions were flung away by her, preventing them from coming back to attack her. Afterwards, she continued to deal with the remaining 2 red scorpions. Every time the whip landed on their bodies, they would feel excruciating pain. One of the weaker ones was whipped to death by her. The other one was a little stronger. She used the whip to trap it, then formed a seal with both hands. A long sword was formed, and then fiercely pierced towards the red scorpion, directly piercing through its head and into its tail. The red scorpion struggled on the ground for a bit before dying. At this time the other 3 crawled back. Seeing that their comrade had died, the 3 red scorpions went crazy and attacked her together. This time, other than their venom, they also attacked with their spiritual energy. Sima Yue formed a protective layer around her body. Then she concentrated on forming seals. Small swords were formed one by one, and under her control, they flew towards the red scorpions. Clang! The red scorpions waved their claws to knock the small swords away, or spat out venom to corrode the small swords. However, Sima Yue did not hold back this time. In an instant, she created dozens of small swords. Although some were knocked away, there were still many that pierced the red scorpions. Those 3 red scorpions lost their ability to move. After 2 more stabs from her, they fell to the yellow sand and stopped moving. The mentors outside the crystal ball saw her performance and nodded in satisfaction. Her fighting strength is not bad. Usually, people of this age would be more flustered when they were surrounded. Once they panicked, their fighting strength would drop, and it was very likely that they would be injured by the red scorpions. Although this glazed illusion would not kill anyone under their control, the pain within was still self-evident. And from the very beginning, she wanted to scatter her opponents and defeat them one by one. That thought was admirable. Seeing Sima Yue pick up a red scorpion and close her eyes to empty her mind, one of the mentors asked, What is she planning to do? She probably wants to see if these red scorpions are real, someone guessed. Sure enough, when Sima Yue opened her eyes again, she saw that the red scorpions were still there. She was extremely happy and carried the 5 red scorpions' corpses back into the tent. Sima Yue placed the 5 red scorpions side by side on the ground. Squatting beside one of them, she pried open the shell on its tail and checked its poison gland. What a good thing! Thinking about the poison that continuously attacked her just now, she was extremely curious. Taking out a pair of scissors, she cut off the poison gland. Once this thing is refined, it will definitely be a good thing for poison people. I really didn't expect that the spirit beasts here are actually real. She took out a pill furnace and threw the snipped poison gland inside. Then she heated it up and refined it. Soon, the poison in the poison gland was completely refined by her. Next was the second one, the third one. She's an alchemist. The alchemy mentor said in astonishment when he saw Sima Yue's proficient movements. She's an alchemist? That's right. Look at her technique. It's indeed the technique of refining medicinal ingredients. The alchemy mentor said. And this technique should be a lost technique. Looking at her, her alchemy level shouldn't be low. Old Mu, what level do you think her alchemy is? It shouldn't be lower than level 5. Old Mu, who was the alchemy mentor, said. Around 20 years old, level 5. Her talent should be considered not bad, but not particularly outstanding. Old Mu glanced at that person and said, Don't forget, other than being an alchemist, she's also an array master. Moreover, her array skills are so high. She's both an array master and an alchemist. Looks like our academy has a good seedling this time, the vice principal said with a smile. Some of the other people's performance is also not bad. Song Langli and Ruyu and the others also quickly reacted. It's just that they haven't discovered the essence of this illusion, so they haven't connected with their spatial rings yet. Where did these people come from? Someone actually managed to connect with their spatial rings. That old man closed his eyes and thought for a while. The scene from before appeared in his mind. After a while, he opened his eyes and said, These people were standing with that little guy before. It seems like they're together. Oh, where did this group of people come from? They're actually not bad. Could it be that they're from some big family? We'll find out when we investigate later. Let's continue watching. Oh right, send some spirit beasts to play with that little guy. The vice principal instructed. Chapter 541. Just for fun. Hearing the vice principal's words, all the mentors felt sorry for Sima Yue. She had caught the vice principal's attention. Dance Rua starter. But such students would often lead a more miserable life because this vice principal liked to play. Even though his fighting prowess would increase by leaps and bounds while having fun, the process, Sima Yue had just finished extracting the red scorpion's poison reading ability when she felt something approaching her. This time, it was even more ferocious. 10 red scorpions came directly, and their strength was even higher than before. This time, she didn't dare to fight alone. She called Little Peng to fight with her. Against this kind of spirit beast, Little Rock was the most suitable. Golden-winged Great Rock. Everyone in the house cried out when they saw Little Rock. Looks like we know who this person is. The contractor of the Golden-winged Rock. I didn't expect him to be so young. The red lips of the teacher in the red dress parted slightly. After the shock in her eyes, there was a strong interest. I've always heard that a golden-winged great rock has appeared in the rock world. Now that I've seen it with my own eyes, its aura is indeed extraordinary. This little fellow, not only is his talent not bad, he even has such a contracted beast. This kid is extraordinary. Vice Principal, I think we can directly recruit her. We can't miss out on such a talented person. I agree. What's the hurry? The Vice Principal leaned back in his soft chair. If she's really talented, she'll be able to pass the next 2 tests. If she really enters the school, do we need to notify the inner courtyard? Someone asked. Let's talk about it later, the vice principal said and closed his eyes again. The second batch of red scorpions were all killed. Sima Yue realized that this time was different from before. Among the 10 red scorpions, only 5 were real, and the other 5 were just illusions. F***ck, are you kidding me? Sima Yue cursed, but she still took the 5 real red scorpions and refined them. After an unknown amount of time, more spirit beasts approached. This time it was not a red scorpion but a bunch of pythons. These pythons were all torn in half by Sima Yue and Little Rock. I wonder how the pythons in the desert taste. Sima Yue said and took out some water to clean the python. Then, she took out some pots and pans and started to make snake soup. In addition, he took out a barbecue rack and roasted a piece of meat. Smelling the fragrance of the snake meat, she leisurely hummed a little tune, completely unaware that her every move was clearly seen by the teacher outside. She's so carefree. The teachers laughed and scolded her when they saw that she was in such a leisurely mood. Although the python grew in the desert, its meat was tender and delicious. With her cooking skills, the snake soup and roasted snake meat tasted delicious. Carrying all these cooking utensils with him, this kid must be a foodie. Sima Yue was leisurely enjoying her food. Suddenly, she frowned and stuffed the barbecued meat into her mouth. Is there an end to this? As soon as she finished speaking, monsters made of yellow sand appeared one after another. Suddenly, they rose from the ground, each of them a few meters tall. Their mouths and eyes were empty, and yellow sand kept falling from their bodies. At first glance, it was obvious that they were not normal spirit beasts. Holy **T, what kind of spiritual beast is this? Sima Yue smelled a peculiar aura when she saw the spiritual beast. These spirit beasts were so strange. She could feel violence and killing intent from these spirit beasts, as if they were brainless creatures. Their empty eyes looked at her as if they were looking at a dead person. A dead person? She wondered who would be dead. When the teachers outside saw the spirit beasts, they exclaimed, "Who released the yellow sand beasts?" "Not us." The 2 teachers in charge of this area shook their heads. They had only released a few spirit beasts to tease Sima Yue. No one had released the yellow sand beasts. Oh no, the glazed illusion is out of control. The girl in red stood up and slammed the table. What's going on? It seems that someone has cut off our connection with the glazed illusion. Someone must have done something inside. The spirit beasts inside are also out of control. The vice principal's face was no longer as relaxed as before. He stood up, reached out his hand, and the huge crystal ball appeared in front of him. He pressed both hands on the crystal ball and injected spiritual energy into it, attempting to control the glazed illusion again. The teachers in the room looked at him nervously. They didn't dare to make a sound for fear of disturbing him. After a while, the vice principal opened his eyes. With a shake of his hands, the crystal ball returned to its original position. The glazed illusion has been connected, but we can only control the remaining spirit beasts. We can't control the ones that came out before. The teacher said. Look at the situation inside. Get those who are on the verge of death out. As for the rest, just treat it as a test. The vice principal sat down. Send someone to investigate who dares to tamper with the enrollment of the heavenly sect. Yes, vice principal. The 2 of them left the room. The people in the glazed illusion didn't know about the dangerous situation just now. When they saw the spirit beasts, they thought it was the academy's assessment. They didn't think that someone had set them up and almost made them unable to come out. During this period of time, nearly 1,000 people had died an unnatural death. The academy quietly took out their corpses. The teachers didn't dare to be careless. They paid full attention to the situation inside. Once someone was about to die, they would get them out. When those people came out, they knew that they had lost their qualifications. But at least they were alive, so they weren't so depressed. Sima Yue looked at the yellow sand beasts in front of her that couldn't be killed. She was worried. She had encountered such a difficult spirit beast. She didn't know how the others were doing. Actually, the others weren't as unlucky as her. They went in alone. Although the teleportation was random, most people went in with a few or even tens of people. Only a few people went in alone. And she was one of those lone Dido. Fatty Chu and the others had 6 people. Sima Yulin and the others weren't with them, but they were with others. That was why she was the unluckiest. These spirit beasts seem to be made of yellow sand. Even if we hit them, They can recover immediately. Our attacks are useless. Little Rock said. That's right, Master. My flames are useless against them. Yaguang said. When she heard what Little Rock and the others said, Sima Yuyue's heart sank. She realized this as well. She had just chopped off the head of a yellow sand beast, but it was as if nothing had happened to it. The yellow sand rolled and rolled, and another head grew. I have to find a way. She thought about it and called out Chongming. When Little Rock evolved into the golden-winged rock, Chongming also received some bloodline power. Recently, he had been digesting this power. That was why Sima Yue rarely let him out to fight. Now it seemed that he was the most suitable. Chapter 542. Chongming, sorry to trouble you. Chongming nodded. He formed a seal with both hands and waved them, isolating all the yellow sand beasts. Those yellow sand beasts did not breathe to begin with, so even after being isolated, they did not immediately die. However, due to the restriction of space, he was unable to move at all. Sima Yue watched as Chongming imprisoned them, but did not kill them. He sat down on the ground and panted heavily. These spirit beasts have no life and will never die. It's useless to imprison them like this. We have to think of a way, Sai. Chongming also needed spiritual power to support them, so it was impossible to imprison them forever. He had to think of a way to solve it. She sat on the ground and thought for a long time. She reached out to grab the hot yellow sand and said, "These are all monsters formed by the yellow sand. They will either destroy the world or destroy the yellow sand. But there's too much yellow sand, and it's impossible to destroy it. So we can only destroy this world." Everyone in the room couldn't help but raise their eyebrows when they heard her words. What was this little guy trying to do? If this heaven and earth were to be destroyed, then wouldn't the academy suffer a great loss? Everyone turned to look at the vice president. That fellow calmly waved his hand and said, "It's fine. She's not that capable." The glazed illusion was now under the control of the vice principal. If he said it was fine, then it was fine. As expected, Sima Yue paused for a moment after saying those words, then said, "This world cannot be destroyed. The things in the academy are definitely not that weak. Don't tell me there's no other way?" "Master, wouldn't it be gone if we moved the yellow sand away?" Yaguang said. "Move away?" Sima Yue's eyes lit up. She stood up and dusted off the yellow sand on her hands. "That's right. Even if we can't kill them, we can still take them away. Good job, Yaguang. Actually, if these yellow sand beasts were brought into the spirit pagoda, they could be dealt with immediately." However, she wasn't sure if the people from the academy could see the situation here. If they could, then the matter of the spirit pagoda would be exposed. She took out an array stone and set up an array around the yellow sand beasts. "Master, where are you taking these yellow sand beasts?" Yaguang saw that Sima Yue was able to set up an array in such a short period of time. He thought that it must not be a good place. Otherwise, it would take her a long time to calculate the coordinates. Sima Yue patted Yaguang's head and said, "Send them to a good place. Chongming, the moment I activate the array formation, you can break the space imprisonment." "Okay." Chongming nodded. Sima Yue picked up the last formation stone, injected her spiritual power into it, and placed it on one of the corners of the pentagram. The formation was activated and the silver light flowed along the lines of the pentagram, before flowing into the other complicated lines. Chongming release. As soon as Sima Yue spoke, Chongming released the space shackles. The moment the yellow sand beasts pounced on her, they all disappeared. The light disappeared, and the desert became quiet again. "Master is so powerful." Yaguang jumped and said, "Master, since there are no more enemies, I'll go back first. My fur is about to be burnt." Sima Yue thought about the high temperature of the yellow sand. Even if Yaguang's skin was thick, it would be uncomfortable to step on, so she kept him back. "Yu, where did you send them?" Little Rock transformed into his mimicry form and landed on Chongming's shoulder as he asked. If the place they were sent to happened to have someone, then the other party would be in trouble. How could I harm others? Even if I don't know them and they have nothing to do with me. What if they were sent to my brother's side? Sima Yue said. I sent them to the void. Chongming was not too surprised by this answer. This was quite her style. What do you plan to do next? Or do you want to stay here? Sima Yue had not finished speaking when she felt movement in her space ring. She took out a piece of jade and saw 2 small dots on it saying, "We're not going to wait here. Yulin is not far from us. Let's go find him." Chongming transformed into her original form and flew in a direction with Sima Yue and Little Rock. She lowered her head and looked at the jade. It showed that they were quite far away. Fortunately, the other party seemed to have noticed her approach and rushed in her direction. However, their speed was obviously much slower, as if they were being held back by something. "Chongming, hurry up. They seem to have met with trouble," Sima Yue said anxiously. "All right." Chongming flapped her wings and increased her speed. In the room, the teachers watched as Chongming flew in the air with Sima Yue. They were already numb to the shock she gave them. 3 contracted beasts, and they're all sacred beasts. Aren't they afraid of being devoured? Since she can become an alchemist and a ray master, her divine sense is naturally extraordinary. It's normal for her to be able to contract a few sacred beasts at the same time. She was able to set up a teleportation array in such a short time. She even thought of sending the yellow sand beasts into the void. It's really rare. Those yellow sand beasts will become a handful of yellow sand once they go into the void. What are you chatting about? Pay attention to the situation in the illusion. If anyone dies again, I'll stuff you all in, the vice principal said as he shook his beard. Although they knew that the vice principal was joking, everyone still stopped joking and paid attention to the situation in the illusion. There was no night or sunrise. Sima Yue didn't know how long she had been flying before she finally saw Sima Yulin and the others. What surprised her was that Sima Yuqi and the other 3 brothers, Wei Ziqi and the other 3, Sima Yulin and Little 2 were all together. They were fighting a group of yellow sand beasts. Was she the only one who had been left far behind? It would be great if we could fix them in place, then use a teleportation array to send them away. Otherwise, they won't die or be injured. Our spirit energy will be exhausted, Sima Yulin said when he saw that the yellow sand beasts' heads had grown back after being chopped off. Everyone was already exhausted, but we have no way to fix them in place. Fatty Chu blew up a yellow sand beast with a punch and watched them turn into a pile of yellow sand. Then, in a very short period of time, they condensed together again. You guys hold them back. I'll set up a teleportation array over there and lure them over, Sima Yulin said. Will this method work? Whether it works or not, we can only try. You guys, all the yellow sand beasts froze in place. They were in all kinds of positions. It was as if time had stopped. Bei Gongtang looked at the frozen yellow sand beasts and subconsciously looked behind her. She saw a familiar figure. Sima Yue sat on Chongming and looked at everyone who was stunned. She said, Yulin, didn't you say you were going to set up a teleportation array? Why aren't you doing it? Chongming won't be able to hold on for long with so many beasts. Chapter 543. Everyone was excited to see Sima Yue, especially when she came to stop the yellow sand beasts that had exhausted them, giving them a chance to catch their breath. It had to be said that she came at the right time. Sima Yue let the Chongming fly in the air. She estimated the number of stones and the distance between each of them. She took out a pile of array stones and threw them in all directions. When the last one was left, she let the Chongming land. She injected her spiritual power into it and threw it into the ground. Seeing that the array was starting to activate, Sima Yulu and the others who were still at the edge of the array hurriedly ran away. If they were teleported away together, who knew where they would end up? Chongming. Sima Yue waited for the formation to activate and shouted. Chongming immediately activated the space imprisonment. Before the yellow sand beasts could react, they were all transported away. Yu is still the best. Wei Ziqi saw that the yellow sand beasts were really gone, and sat down on the ground. That's right, these things have been pestering us for a long time. Even when we rode on flying beasts, we were unable to shake them off. Fatty Chu said. Yue, how did you know we were here? I'm looking at Jade, Sima Yue said in surprise. Aren't you walking in my direction? Don't you know? Everyone looked at Sima Yulin. He shrugged his shoulders, saying, I was so shaken by the yellow sand beast that I didn't even have the strength to fight back. How would I have the energy to look at the jade? Sima Yue was speechless. It turned out that they were running in this direction, and did not know that she was approaching them. Fortunately, they were heading in the right direction. If they had fled in the opposite direction, it would have taken him a long time to find them. By the way, why are you all together? Did you come in together? No. Sima Yue shook his head, saying, in the beginning we were separated as well. However, we weren't too far apart from each other, so we slowly gathered together. We were just talking about how you're the only one missing. But we all know what you're capable of, so we're not that worried. If it was anyone else who was alone, they might have gone to look for them. But thinking that it was her, they didn't even look for her. Sima Yue looked at her brother with resentment. Finally, she said, you all recover your spiritual energy first. She saw that everyone had taken out pills from their interspatial rings and knew that they had discovered the essence of the illusion to recover, so she stood guard for them. While everyone was resting, she looked at the boundless desert. She wondered when the assessment would end. Bei Gongtang was the first to recover. Seeing Sima Yue sitting on the sand dune, she walked over and said, what did you go through by yourself? Sima Yue told her about the few times she had met spirit beasts, and Bei Gongtang was rather surprised. And you, what to Sima? You didn't encounter it? We've also encountered it, but it's only been 2 days. We haven't encountered it before. Bei Gongtang said. Furthermore, we haven't encountered any spirit beasts before we met up. Am I the only one who encountered it? Sima Yue rubbed her nose. That's possible. Sima Yue was speechless. Is it because my luck is too bad? Or is it because someone is controlling this place and doesn't like me? So they threw some spirit beasts to deal with me? The instructors in the room looked down, and no one said a word. This was the vice principal's order. It had nothing to do with us. Don't blame us if you don't choose our academy. Sima Yue had no idea what the teachers were thinking. She also didn't know that the spirit beasts were arranged by someone. She was still thinking about when the first round of the exam would be over. Yue, I feel that these spirit beasts are a little strange, Bei Gongtang said. How so? It feels like they suddenly appeared. It's like they were locked in a cage before, and then suddenly ran out uncontrollably. Bei Gongtang said what she felt. This is the first round of the academy's exam. Although I don't know where it is, it should be under the control of the academy. There shouldn't be any accidents. Sima Yue said. What you said is possible, but we have no way to prove it. You're right. Bei Gongtang nodded and didn't think about it anymore. After that, everyone woke up one by one. Their injuries were healed and their spirit energy was restored. They looked very energetic. Brother, where are we going now? Little Two came to Sima Yue's side and asked. Sima Yue looked at everyone and said, this desert is boundless. It doesn't matter where we go. Brother Yulin and Brother Yuran said before that the exam this time should be to test how long we can stay here. So it doesn't matter where we go. That's why we didn't run around aimlessly like the others. Sima Yue knew that with Sima Yulin and third brother's intelligence, they should be able to guess what the exam was about. Since everyone thought the same, the possibility of it happening was much higher. Then let's wait. Sima Yue said. The last time I killed a few spirit snakes, they tasted pretty good. Let's eat them in a while. This spirit snake meat is pretty good for increasing spirit energy. Okay. Sima Yue took out a few spirit snake corpses. With the safety of the interspatial ring, these spirit snakes were pretty much the same as when they had just died. The blood had not even solidified yet, and was still fresh. She handed the spirit snake corpses to Fatty Chu and the others to clean up. After they were done, everyone started to cook. When they found out that these were the spirit beasts that Sima Yue had encountered before, everyone laughed at her for her bad character. Otherwise, why would she be the only one who encountered it when no one else encountered it? Sima Yue had been criticized too much. Could it be that she had done something immoral recently that caused her character to drop? Compared to them who were happily eating, the other examinees were much more unlucky. Without the interspatial spirit beasts, They had no way of getting rid of those yellow sand beasts. They also had no way of escaping from their pursuers. In the end, they were killed until they were completely exhausted before they were thrown out, losing the right to continue the exam. Those who were lucky did not encounter any yellow sand beasts. However, because they did not understand the essence of the illusion, they did not eat or drink for the past few days. Furthermore, they were in such a harsh environment. They were exhausted. In the end, they could not take it anymore and were thrown out. There were also some who did not encounter any yellow sand beasts, but encountered other spirit beasts. Although they killed the spirit beasts in the end, they were heavily injured. However, they were still able to hold on and were not thrown out. After an unknown amount of time, Sima Yue and the others had not even finished eating their snake meat when they heard a low roar approaching them. "It's a yellow sand beast." Sima Yue ran, and the others' expressions changed. They were very familiar with the sound that had been chasing them for a few days. Someone must have been chased by a yellow sand beast, and is running towards us. Chapter 544. Everyone looked in the direction of the sound, and saw a sky full of yellow sand. It had an aura that seemed like it was going to devour the entire world. In front of the yellow sand, a group of black dots was moving quickly. If they saw such a scene on any other day, they would definitely say that it was beautiful. However, no one could say anything today. They could only subconsciously swallow their saliva. My goodness, why are these yellow sand beasts bigger than the others? Sima Yue looked at Chongming. He nodded at her, and she finally relaxed. The speed of both parties was very fast, and it didn't take long for them to see the figures of the people flying in front of them. "They're all divine overlords," Bei Gongtang said. When those people saw Sima Yue, they shouted, "Run! Don't just stand there, run!" Seeing that they didn't move, those people became anxious. A woman shouted, "Are you stupid? Hurry up and run!" Behind them was a row of yellow sand beasts. They could only move forward and could not change direction. They could only watch as they and the yellow sand beasts got closer and closer to the group. They were so close that they could see each other's faces clearly. One of the men in blue saw that Sima Yue and the others had not moved and thought that they were too scared to react. He cursed in his heart, but he still stopped and turned to face the group of yellow sand beasts. "You guys go first, I'll hold them back." "Don't be silly. How can you deal with them alone?" The woman from before roared at the blue-clothed man. "There's nothing we can do about it. Drag it out for as long as you can. Hurry up and leave." The blue-clothed man roared. "I'll stay with you. Everyone else, hurry up and leave." The woman shouted at the others, turned around and flew back, fighting side by side with the blue-clothed man. The others hesitated for a moment before flying back. "Why did you come back? How could we leave you behind?" "You." The blue-clothed man was hit by the yellow sand beast and rolled a few times on the ground, landing at the feet of a yellow sand beast. Tuobahan. Everyone was scared silly by this turn of events. If the yellow sand beast raised its foot, he would definitely be dead. Tuobahan. No. Everyone attacked the yellow sand beast in an attempt to save it, but their attacks were useless against it. Instead, they were sent flying by the other yellow sand beasts. Tuobahan was hit in the waist, and the heart-wrenching pain made it impossible for him to stand up. He raised his head and saw the huge foot of the yellow sand beast, and his eyes flashed with unwillingness. Was he going to die here? The giant foot was getting closer and closer to him, and his pupils were gradually filled with yellow sand. He wanted to close his eyes and wait for death, but he found that the foot of the yellow sand beast had stopped less than a foot away from him. Then he heard a pleasant voice. Only then did he realize that he had been saved. "There are too many yellow sand beasts and too much space. Chongming won't be able to hold on for long. Yulin, you and I will set up the array. The others will help these people to a safe place. Quick." After Sima Yu finished her instructions, she jumped onto Chongming's back. Sima Yu also called out his own flying beast and flew into the air, setting up a teleportation array with Sima Yu. Wei Ziqi and the others were not slow either. They quickly ran over and helped all the injured people up, and quickly left Sima Yu's area of effect. Until they were far away from the yellow sand beasts, These people still did not realize how quickly the situation had changed. But they knew that they had been saved. When they saw the two throwing the array stones in the air, it was the first time they knew that an array could be set up like this. Tuoba Han was the most seriously injured, and the others gave him pills before eating them themselves. They originally wanted to ask about the situation, but when they saw Wei Ziqi and the others looking at the two in the air, they tactfully shut their mouths. After setting up the array, Sima Yu and Sima Yulin returned to the ground and activated the array. Roar! The yellow sand beasts roared the moment they regained their freedom. But before they could move, the array sent them into the void. Huff! Sima Yu let out a long breath of turbid air and walked over. I am Tuoba Yin Air, thank you for saving me. If it were not for you, we would have died today. The girl cupped her hands towards Sima Yu. Sima Yu. Sima Yu replied. Even without us, I think the sect would not leave you in the lurch. Death is not so easy. She was willing to save them because she saw that the other party had no intention of dragging them down. Coming here was an unintentional act. Seeing that they were here, the other party actually went back to resist and stall for time. This showed that they were not bad people. Secondly, she saw that they had a close relationship with each other, which was very similar to her own team, so she wanted to help. Anyway, if they died, those yellow sand beasts would still come to deal with her, so she might as well do them a favor. Both parties got to know each other. The blue-clothed man was Tuoba Han. Other than Tuoba Yin Air, the other three were Feng Wuhen, Wang Kai and Mu Lin. Hearing Feng Wuhen's self-introduction, Sima Yu looked at him discreetly. She did not know if he and Feng Zhixing were from the same family. Tuoba family, is it the Eastern Ridges Tuoba family? She looked at Tuoba Han and Tuoba Yin Air and asked, yes, you know about the inner regions? Perhaps it was because she was grateful that they saved her life. Tuoba Yin Air did not hide her identity. Eastern Ridges Tuoba family, Northern Deserts Tsonglang family, Western Liang Zemo family, Southern Desolations Hong family. The four great families are so famous, it's normal that we know about them. Sima Yu said. The four great families were strong, and were not inferior to those halls and valleys. She had thought more than once about how many years it would take for such a big family to grow so strong. Later on, she found out that the four great clans were not considered the largest clans. In unknown places, there were clans that had been passed down from ancient times. These clans had even more honorable statuses on the continent. However, they did not often roam the world, so they were called the hidden clans. I heard that Western Liang and Northern Desert sent geniuses, and now Eastern Ridge sent people. I didn't think that the sect would attract so many geniuses this time. Sima Yulin said. Although the heavenly sect is in the outer regions, its reputation is not small in the inner regions. We also came because of its reputation. Tuoba Yin Air explained. Sima Yu and the others did not completely believe her, but they did not say anything. The geniuses from all over the place came to the sect, but it had nothing to do with them. His injuries are quite serious, it's best to let me take a look at him. Sima Yu said to Tuoba Han. Since Tuoba Han was as famous as Tsong Lang Li, it was not a bad thing to form a good relationship with him. You know medicine? Feng Wuhen looked at Sima Yu with surprise. A little, Sima Yu said. Then I'll have to trouble young Master Yu. Tuoba Han said. Sima Yu stretched out her hand to take Tuoba Han's pulse. She felt the situation in his body and looked at him suspiciously. Chapter 545. Book title. Brought out of mother's womb. Author Sima Yu looked at Tuoba Han, and Tuoba Han looked back at her. Both of them looked at each other. Young Master Yue, how is he? Tuoba Yin Air asked with concern. Sima Yue retracted her gaze and smiled at Tuoba Yin Air, saying, I injured the tendons and bones of the lumbar spine, so I need to insert a few needles. If I only rely on medicinal pills, my recovery will be slower. Acupuncture? What is that? Saitoba Yenner asked. I use silver needles to prick his acupuncture points to dredge his meridians, Sima Yue explained simply. I once heard that the Miss of the Shiman clan of the southern wasteland has a unique set of silver needles for treatment. Did you use the same method as her? Mu Lin looked straight at Sima Yue. The world is so big, maybe it's the same. Sima Yue did not deny it. Really? Tuoba Yen Air looked at Sima Yue. Then can I trouble you to perform acupuncture on him? That's not a problem, but the environment isn't very good. Let's set up a tent. Sima Yue stood up and said. That's easy. Feng Wuhan, Wang Kai, and Mu Lin worked together and quickly set up the tent. Then they took out a bed and helped Tuoba Han lie on it. Sima Yue chased everyone out, leaving the two of them alone in the tent. Bei Gongtang saw the look in her eyes when she went out, so she said to Tuoba Yen Air, before you came, we just happened to get some good stuff. Do you want to come with us? Good stuff? Let's go. You guys have just experienced such a huge shock. Go eat something good and drink some wine to calm your nerves. Bei Gongtang said as she pulled Tuoba Yen Air to the place where they had barbecued meat. When Feng Wuhan and Wang Kai saw that Tuoba Yen Air had gone over, they followed her. After all, there was no point in staying here. After everyone had left, Sima Yue came to the bedside and sat down. She lifted the clothes on the back of the bed, but she was not in a hurry to insert the needle. Thank you. Tuoba Han's voice was warm and magnetic, making people feel that he was a gentle person, which didn't match his name at all. What are you thanking me for? Sima Yue took out the box containing the silver needles and said calmly. Keep it a secret for me, Tuoba Han said with a smile. Sima Yue smiled. When she was examining Tuoba Han, she could tell from Tuoba Yen Er's expression that she did not know about it. Furthermore, she could see a faint pleading in Tuoba Han's eyes, hoping that she would not reveal his physical condition. I'm a little curious. With your body like this, why are you still here? She took out a silver needle and inserted it into an acupuncture point on his waist. Naturally, it is to survive, Tuoba Han said. He felt a little strange. He had just met Sima Yue, but he felt a sense of familiarity with her. He did not mind telling her these things, and he subconsciously believed that she would help him keep the secret. It turned out that his intuition was right. She didn't tell him about his situation and helped him keep it a secret. Survive? You can survive just by coming here? Sima Yue was a little confused. The Tuoba family is so big, can't they solve your problem? If they could, I wouldn't have come here. Do you think that I am like those people who came here for? Tuoba Han paused and did not continue speaking. Sima Yue held the silver needle and slowly inserted it, thinking about his words. It seemed that the reason why those people from the central regions came here was not as simple as it seemed. Are you poisoned? She asked. I was born in my mother's womb. Tuoba Han did not avoid this as he said. Sima Yue knew that there were many such things in large families like theirs. Wasn't the poison in her body also from her mother's womb? It caused the original body to be unable to cultivate. She could only cultivate after crossing over and getting rid of the poison. Perhaps it was because they were fellow sufferers, but when she inserted the needles, she inserted a little more. After she was done, she said, I've helped you suppress the poison in your body. Take this pill, and the poison won't act up for half a year. Tuoba Han took the pill and looked at it. He did not ask anything and ate the pill. Sima Yue saw him eat the pill so quickly and raised her eyebrows. Aren't you afraid that it's poison? Even if it's poison, can it be more poisonous than the one in my body? Tuoba Han moved his body and realized that his waist did not hurt as much. It seemed that this acupuncture method was really powerful. Sima Yue finally took a good look at his appearance. Although he wasn't the type of handsome, he was the type that made people feel comfortable. Your medical skills are very good, he said. I have good talent. A certain someone said narcissistically. Tuoba Han laughed out loud. She was really not modest. How could Sima Yue not understand the meaning behind his laughter? But she had no choice. She couldn't say that she had lived for 3 lifetimes and accumulated experience, right? Can you help me detoxify the poison? After Tuoba Han asked this question, he laughed at himself. Although her medical skills were very good, this poison of his, if not for the family's doctor saying that this was the only way, he would not have come here. It's not like you don't have a way, Sima Yue said. You have a way? I'm not sure yet. Sima Yue said, but it doesn't seem very troublesome. I can help you when I have time. But I'm not doing it for free. If you can help me detoxify the poison, I will definitely give you a satisfactory reward. Tuobahan said with certainty. Okay, it's a promise, Sima Yue said with a smile. But before that, you have to keep it a secret for me. Tuobahan said, because of some reasons, the family thinks that my poison has been detoxified. Whatever. Anyway, keeping a patient's secret is what a doctor should do. It doesn't affect me much, she replied. She took back all the silver needles and covered his back with his clothes. Then she opened the curtain and went out. When Tuoba Yen-er and the others came back, he had already put on his clothes. Seeing him standing in front of the bed, Wang Kai asked, Is your injury better? At least I can straighten my back, Tuobahan said as he tidied his clothes. I didn't expect that kid's medical skills to be so good, Wang Kai said with a smile. What good food did you guys go out to eat? Tuobahan asked. Oh Han, it's a pity that you didn't go. The food they make is very delicious. It's not inferior to memory restaurant's dishes at all. Is that so? I hope I have the chance to try it in the future. Tuobahan was not regretful. Although he did not eat good food, he found a breakthrough in his body. If she really had a way, it would be best. Even if she didn't, it would be another way. Wei Ziqi and the others took this opportunity to set up their tents. They would probably spend the rest of their days here. Sima Yue gave Tuobahan another round of acupuncture. Adding on his own recovery and the effects of the pills, he had almost recovered by the time they left the illusion. Gentlemen's Assembly. Chapter 546. On this day, Sima Yu and the others were drinking wine and chatting in the desert. They were lamenting about why the assessment had not ended yet. Following that, the scene changed. They had already left the boundless desert and arrived at a spacious venue. Mobile phone station. Welcome back. At the start, the tutor swept his gaze across them. The tens of thousands of people had been reduced to 2,000 to 3,000 people, which was less than expected. It was probably because of the change in the middle. Teacher, have we passed the first round? A student asked. The tutor nodded and said, You will have a day to rest and recover from your injuries. You can meditate here or go out, but you must come back here tomorrow at this time. If you miss it, you will be disqualified. After he finished speaking, he turned and left the venue. Most of the people chose to meditate here to recover their strength, and only a few went out. Sima Yue and the rest chose to meditate on the spot. They could not do much outside in a day, so they might as well recover their spiritual energy. A day later, the tutor appeared again and said, We will now begin the second round of the assessment. Do you see the door behind you? Everyone turned around and looked at the huge door. For the second round of the assessment, enter the door and walk straight. If you can come out from the other exit after 3 days, you will have passed. If there are too many people, we will only choose the first 1,000. After the tutor finished speaking, the door slowly opened. The inside was filled with thick fog, and the people outside could not see the scenery inside. Go in. The tutor waved his hand, and the students felt a force pushing them into the door. Due to the previous incident, Sima Yue grabbed onto the people beside her. She would not be alone when she went in, right? The moment she passed through the fog, she saw many people disappear in front of her. This fog indeed had the ability to teleport people. Bang bang bang. The sound of heavy objects falling to the ground was accompanied by a painful howl. Oh my God! Why are you all so heavy? Fatty Chu was lying on the ground. The weight of the people on top of him almost made him faint. In order to let everyone be together, they subconsciously held on to the people beside them. Hence, when they entered, they fell together. Fatty Chu was at the bottom, and because of that, he was the one who was crushed the most. Everyone hurriedly got up. Little Two helped Fatty Chu up and looked at him with his big cute eyes asking, Brother Fatty, are you okay? I'm fine. Fatty Chu patted the dirt off his body. It was a good thing that he walked the path of body refinement, so his body was stronger than the average person's. Otherwise, he would have been crushed to a pulp. Sima Yue looked around. Luckily, everyone was there. There were some unfamiliar faces further away. Which direction are we going now? We should be in the forest now. The fog is blocking our view. However, you can't just randomly pick a direction. Otherwise, you might get further and further away from the exit. Sima Yuran said. Then let's try using the compass. Sima Yulu took out a compass and looked at the compass needle on it. He realized that the needle was spinning in circles and could not be used at all. It should be that the magnetic field here isn't right, Sima Yulin said when he saw the reaction of the compass. Then we can only go in one direction, Sima Yuming said. Wait. Sima Yue took out a few scarlet bees and got them to scout the way. She was surprised to find that the fog had no effect on them. It's useful? We should be able to find the exit. Sima Yue nodded. Let's wait here first. After speaking, she called out a few hundred scarlet bees and got them to disguise themselves as normal bees. They went out to scout the way. They waited where they were and were not in a hurry to move forward. After a day, she told everyone that they could leave. Then she led them in one direction. After walking for a day, the fog became thicker. In order to prevent people from getting separated in the fog, they held hands and walked forward. At the end of the second day, they finally saw another door. After walking out of the door, there was a green mountain and clear water. There were 100 people standing by the river. They did not stand out at all. When they turned back to look, how was that a door? It was just a forest. You're out too. Tuoba Yen Air waved at Sima Yue and the others. Sima Yue and the others walked over and realized that they were all there. Have you been out for a long time? We're quite lucky and landed not far from the exit. We came out yesterday. Tuoba Yen Air said. You're not bad too. You came out today. Sima Yue smiled but did not say anything. Was this considered cheating? Thinking about it, it was not. Since the sect had set up such a checkpoint, they must have wanted to see if they had the ability to pass through the maze forest. As for how they did it, it did not matter. 100 people have come out now. I think that by the end of tomorrow, the number will not be small, Sima Yuming said. But it probably won't reach the 1,000 that the sect wants, Feng Wuhen said. It's hard to say now. We'll have to see tomorrow for the specifics. But there should be more people coming out tomorrow, Tuoba Han said. Sima Yue agreed with him. The third day should be when the most people arrived. Most of the people who arrived in the first 2 days relied on luck and trickery. Those people should be out on the third day. A day passed in the blink of an eye. By the end of the third day, there were a total of 800 people who passed the test. Those who did not come out lost their qualifications and were sent out of the sect. Congratulations on passing the second round of the test. Now raise your head and look at the mountain path in front of you. The teacher in charge of the test appeared at the foot of a mountain. Behind him was a mountain peak that reached the clouds. There were layers of stone steps that went from the bottom to the clouds. So high! Someone exclaimed. The third round of the test is to walk up the mountain. You can use your treasures and spirit energy. Walk as high as you can. There is no time limit. You can do whatever you want. After speaking, his figure slowly disappeared. It was as if he had never been here. He's gone. Those students saw the teacher disappear and cried out in surprise. That's just a projection. What's there to be surprised about? A red-haired girl snorted and took the lead to step on the stone steps. The stone steps at the foot of the mountain were very wide. Every step was 2 to 3 meters long. It was not crowded at all when a few people stood on it. Those people saw that the girl had already gone up and flocked up. Sima Yue stood at the same place without moving. She only watched as those people excitedly walked up. You're still not going? Tuoba Han asked beside her. What's the rush? Those who go first may not be able to climb the highest. Sima Yue said calmly. Tuoba Han looked at her approvingly. Then he looked at the stairs and said, Do you know where this place is? Chapter 547. Sima Yue noticed Tuoba Han's expression and asked curiously, What is it? Yue, have you heard of Tongtian Tower? Tuoba Han looked at the invisible scenery above the clouds. Heavenly Tower? Sima Yue thought about it and shook his head, saying, I came up from the continent below and haven't been here for long. I haven't heard of this before. As a matter of fact, she really didn't know. In the past, when she was the young miss of the Shiman clan, she was more focused on cultivation and didn't pay much attention to the matters of the outside world. It was normal that he didn't know many things. Sky-piercing Tower is located at the top of a tall mountain. As long as you can reach Sky-piercing Tower, you will be able to reach the heavens in the future. But in the past million years, not many people have been able to reach that floor. Tuoba Han said. Sima Yue did not expect there to be such a place. Seeing him looking at the stairs with a yearning expression, she said in surprise, "Don't tell me you're talking about this place?" This staircase is known as the Heavenly Staircase. There are a total of 9,999 steps. You will reach the Heavenly Tower after walking through this staircase. Tuoba Han said, but in the past 10,000 years, the best result was only 8,000 steps. Sima Yue stared at the stone steps that extended into the clouds. She was skeptical of Tuoba Han's words. Would she be able to reach the sky after walking through the heavenly stairway? Why did it sound so mysterious? Ouyang Fei also voiced out her doubts. Tuoba Han smiled. Actually, it doesn't mean that one can reach that level just by walking the heavenly stairway. It means that the more talented and capable a person is, the higher they can go. Those who are able to climb this heavenly stairway must be extremely talented. So that's how it is. They really thought that they could become gods just by walking up the stairs. Han, let's go too, Wang Kai said to Tuoba Han. Tuoba Han saw that most of the people had gone up and were scattered around the stone steps. If they went up now, it would not be crowded at all. Do you all want to come together? Tuoba Yenair asked. Let's wait a little longer, Sima Yue said. Then we'll go first. Tuoba Yenair and the rest went up the stone steps, leaving Sima Yue and the rest to look at the sparse people on the steps. Why is this path able to test how far a person has walked on the path of cultivation? Fatty Chu did not understand. The world is so big, there are many things that we can't explain. Sima Yue said, let's go up. When they stepped on the stairway, they finally understood why those people were walking so slow-paced. It was a fact that every step was difficult. Was a Yue Yus. Was Yue Yue. Was just a few steps. It was just a few steps. A Yu and Yue. Was. Yue was only a few steps. Was only a few steps. But she. Was only a Yue. Was only a few. She a Yue. They Yu. A's and the others. Sima Yue walked up step by step. Slowly, it was as if she only had eyes for the stairs. A voice in her head kept telling her to go up. Go up. She overtook the people in front of her one by one. Her companions were also left behind. There weren't many people in front of her. She looked at the backs of those people and knew that they were from the central regions. That person is so strong. She overtook us so quickly. Someone saw Sima Yue walking up without any pressure inside. Who is that person? She's walking so fast. Could it be that she can reach the top? When those people saw her, they all seemed to be deep in thought as they made their own plans. Mu Lin and Wang Kai were also overtaken by her. Seeing that her forehead was slightly wrinkled, unlike them who were panting, they were a little surprised. 1,000 steps. 2,000 steps. She seemed to have entered a state of selflessness and didn't notice the strange gazes of the others. Suddenly, she felt her brain heat up and her entire being left that state. Thinking of her appearance just now, she felt a little scared. She was too weak now. If she revealed her talent, it wouldn't be a good thing. Crimson Flame, thank you, she said in her heart. Crimson Flame replied faintly. She turned around and looked. She was already more than 1,000 steps higher than Bei Gong Tang and the others, so she sat where she was and didn't move. More than 1,000 steps. They spent a day to catch up. Most of them didn't even reach this height. Of course, there were many who overtook her again. After they met up, they continued to walk up until they reached the clouds. The people below couldn't see them. Looking up, there were still tens of people in front of them. They guessed that their results should be enough to pass the test, so they didn't have the mood to continue. How many steps have we walked? Fatty Chu panted. Almost 6,000. Sima Yulin replied. How do you know? Every 1,000 steps, there will be a small word on the stone steps. There was this? Fatty Chu didn't notice, but he didn't think that they would walk until now. Tuobahan said before that the best result in 10,000 years was 8,000 steps. Their result was considered not bad. Furthermore, they didn't use any external help. They just relied on the spirit energy in their bodies. Do we continue? Ouyang Fei asked. There are so many people in front. We won't be too conspicuous if we continue walking. Sima Yuran said. We can continue walking. Sima Yu agreed. So everyone continued to walk up and past those people. However, Sima Yulu and Sima Yuming couldn't walk anymore when they reached 7,000. After that, Sima Yuqi and Fatty Chu stopped at 7,500. Sima Yu and the others looked ahead. There were only a few people left. Among them were Tuobahan, Song Langli and the girl at the beginning. They had all passed 8,000 steps. It was better than the previous best result. Let's stop here. Sima Yu said when they were close to 8,000. Brother, we can still walk. Why don't we? Little Tu asked. Sima Yu patted Little Tu's head saying, if we walk further than them, we will be noticed more than others. They will know that we are talented and won't let us grow. They will think that we are a threat. Even if we want to leave, we can come back when no one is around. Little Tu understands. Little Tu nodded. Then let's go down. Bei Gongtang also agreed and suggested. No rush. We can take a look. Sima Yu looked at the silhouettes of those people. They are the best in our generation. We can see how far they can go. In the end, an unknown man stopped at 9,000 steps. The girl stopped at 9,200. Tuobahan stopped at 9,300. Song Langli stopped at 9,500. They were only 500 steps away from Heavenly Tower. His eyes flashed with unwillingness, but he couldn't walk anymore. After they gave up, a silver light flashed, and the four of them disappeared from the stairs. Let's go back. Sima Yu said and prepared to go down the mountain. Suddenly she felt something in her interspatial ring. She took it out and saw that it was Emperor Qingdao's Heaven's Halberd. After Heaven's Halberd came out, she couldn't control it. It flashed up the mountain and disappeared into the pavilion. Chapter 548. Seeing this unforeseen event, everyone was stunned. Read the latest chapter first. Yue, what's going on? Sima Yue was also shocked. Because this item belonged to Emperor Qingdao, she took the time to refine it. The so-called refinement was actually to imprint one's own brand on the spirit artifact, so that the spirit artifact would listen to one's command. Logically speaking, Heaven's Halberd had already been refined by her, so it should be under her control. Such a situation shouldn't have happened. Brother. Little Tu pulled Sima Yu's clothes and pulled her back from her shock. Sima Yu looked at the loft at the top of the mountain and said, something must have attracted it. But haven't you already refined it? Sima Yuming said. Yes. Sima Yu said, this can only mean that there's something up there that's more attractive to it, and it's not under my control. Then what do we do now? Fatty Chu asked. That thing had gone to Heavenspan Tower, and was at the top of the mountain. They had no way of getting it back. Sima Yu could feel that Heaven's Halberd was very excited. It was just a broken divine weapon without a weapon spirit, but now it seemed to have a life of its own. There were still 2,000 stone steps, but very few people were able to climb them. A gust of wind blew, and some of the thick clouds were blown away. The people at the foot of the mountain could be vaguely seen. Let's go down first, Sima Yu said. That Heaven's Halberd. Sima Yu looked back at the top of the mountain and said, I will find time to take it back. In any case, no one would be able to enter if he left it there, so it would be fine for the time being. Hearing her say this, everyone went down. Strangely enough, going up took a lot of effort, but going down didn't feel any pressure at all. It was very easy. Not only that, but they also felt that the spiritual energy in their bodies was somewhat active and restless. The further down they went, the stranger Sima Yulin's expression became. When there were 2,000 steps left, he stopped and said, I can't control it anymore. I'm going to advance in rank. Everyone was stunned. Although they also had the feeling of advancing, it wasn't to the point where they couldn't control it. Seeing that Sima Yulin had already sat down, Sima Yu sighed, saying, "Then let's rank up here. We will protect him." It was a taboo to be interrupted during one's advancement. Once interrupted, one would lose the opportunity to advance and suffer a backlash, making it difficult for one to advance again. Therefore, most people would find a safe place to advance. Very few people would advance in public like this. Fortunately, there weren't many people below. Those who didn't meet the requirements and were eliminated had already been sent away. Now there were only 100 or 200 people below. Moreover, some of the 100 or so people were also meditating and cultivating, as if they were trying to comprehend something. Therefore, not many people noticed the situation on the stairs. An hour later, the light of advancement enveloped Sima Yulin, and he successfully advanced to the intermediate Divine King rank. After their advancement, they quickly returned to the foot of the mountain. The figure of the tutor appeared again. After their previous experience, they knew that this should be his projection. Congratulations to everyone for becoming a new student of the sect. That silhouette looked at everyone present. When he saw Sima Yu, his gaze lingered for a second before sweeping over the others. In a moment, there will be people who will bring you into the sect. You have to think of a way to get your first mission from them. I hope that you will be able to pass smoothly. After speaking, the figure faded and disappeared. The students waited where they were for a while. After a while, a group of people flew over on cranes. Sima Yu estimated that there were about 60 to 70 people. You will be divided into groups of 5 to 6. I will give you 1 minute. Once you are in your group, line up here. A young man on the crane said to the people below. Sima Yu and the others quickly divided into groups. Sima Yuming and his brothers and Sima Yulin were in one group. Sima Yu, Wei Ziqi and Little Tu were in another group. After confirming the number of people, they gathered at the designated location. In less than a minute, the 100 people were divided into 30 groups. Now each group will get on a crane. That person instructed again. Since they did not know each other, Sima Yu and the others casually got on a crane. There was a man and a woman on the crane. When they saw them get on, they said, "Sit tight." Then they flew away with them. 30 over cranes flew in different directions. Thinking that they were already students of the sect, they were all extremely excited. The crane took them and disappeared very quickly. When they could not see anyone else, the man on the crane said, "Do you know where you are now?" Sima Yu and the others shook their heads. This place is no longer within the boundaries of the sect. It is half a day away from the place where you report to the sect. It is just the time that the cranes can reach. The cranes only listen to us. The man explained. So, Ouyang Fei crossed his arms in front of his chest and looked at the two of them. The two of them saw that Sima Yu and the others did not act according to their plan and said angrily, "If you are unable to report to the place on time, you will also lose the right to become a student of the sect. If you can please us, we will bring you there. If you delay any longer, I'm afraid that you will not dare to return." "If we please you, will we have to give you something?" Fatty Chu asked. The man and woman gave them a look that said, "At least you know what's good for you." "And if we don't?" Wei Ziqi asked. "Then we will not bring you back. You have to think carefully. Other than the cranes, you have no way of knowing where the sect is." Sima Yu laughed. "That means that you do not know either." "Of course we know, but you do not. So if you know what's good for you, you should hurry up and show your filial piety to us." The woman threatened. "Since the cranes know, wouldn't it be the same without you?" The cranes only listen to us. Without us, you can forget about going back." The woman said. "Is that so? Then let's try." After Sima Yu finished speaking, she gave everyone a look and suddenly threw the two of them out. The cranes did not fly high and the two of them could fly on their own. Sima Yu was naturally not afraid of them falling to their deaths. "Let's go, flying crane. Bring us to the place where we report to the sect. You know where it is, right?" Sima Yu said as she patted the crane's shoulder lightly. Little Rock's aura was silently emitted. The crane that originally wanted to throw Sima Yu and the others down calmed down and brought them to the designated place. The man and woman who were kicked down originally wanted to see the scene of Sima Yu and the others being thrown down by the crane. However, they did not expect the crane to obediently fly away with them. When Sima Yu and the others arrived at the place to report, they realized that the others had already arrived. Beside them were the students from before. However, some of them had bruises on their faces while others were very pleased. It seemed that everyone's methods were not all very gentle. Chapter 549. Book title. Chapter Unexpected Choice. Author. At this moment, almost everyone else had arrived. The teachers and students were standing in the huge square. Everyone was surprised to see Sima Yu's flying crane without the two students from before. Where are the people who brought you here? Someone couldn't help but ask. They said they had something to do, so they couldn't come with us. They asked Feihe to bring us here, Sima Yu said calmly. The mentors who had already received the news couldn't help but twitch when they heard what they said. They had just received news that they didn't discuss it with them at all. They directly threw the people down and came back on the flying crane. Although cranes were generally not controlled by outsiders, they knew that she had the king of the rocks, so it was not surprising that the cranes would bring them here. However, those two students didn't really want to take advantage of the situation. It was just an arrangement by the academy to understand the character of the academy. The others either accepted the threat and took out something to bribe the students, or used their powerful strength to beat up the other party and force them to bring them here. They were the only team that didn't compromise or go berserk. Cough, cough. Everyone be quiet. The instructor on the podium coughed and said, "Now that you are all our students, please calculate the content you want to learn. We will assign you to different classes according to your situation. Now come over here, number 1. The order was based on the time they came back. Therefore, Sima Yu and the rest were at the end. The first person went up. The instructor looked at him and asked, "Name, what do you want to learn? What skills does he have?" "My name is Wang Meng. I don't know anything about alchemy, nor do I want to learn it. I just want to improve my strength," the man replied. "That's the spiritual energy department." The tutor gave him a sign and said, "Go over there and wait." Behind the teacher, there was a sign with the words Spirit Energy Academy written on it. The student took his sign and walked over. Then the second one, the third one, Sima Yulin, and the others didn't return much earlier than Sima Yu and the others, so their ranking was rather low. "What's your name? What do you study?" Sima Yulin wants to learn arrays. After the teacher finished writing, he looked at him and saw that he was together with Sima Yu. His performance in the first round of assessment was not bad, and he had also reached the highest point on the heavenly stairway. The vice principal said that the few of them could still go up, but they stopped. He didn't know what kind of results they would get if they continued. Just based on how high they were on the heavenly staircase, they would receive special training from the sect. As such, he handed Sima Yulin a token and pointed to another empty space saying, "Go there and wait." Sima Yulin took his token and went to the place that the tutor had designated. Sima Yuming and the other 3 did the same. After that, more than 10 people stood in the area where Sima Yulin and the others were. Sima Yu took a look and saw that they were all people who had climbed higher on the heavenly stairway. Finally, it was Sima Yu's turn. The tutor suppressed his excitement and asked, "Name, what do you want to learn?" "Sima Yu, I want to learn medical skills," Sima Yu replied. "What?" The tutor raised his head in shock and looked at Sima Yu saying, "Student, are you sure that you want to learn medical skills?" Sima Yu didn't know why the tutor was so excited, but she still nodded, saying, "That's right, I want to learn medical skills and become a doctor." "This student, our sect's alchemy and arrays are very powerful, and we have very powerful tutors. However, medical skills are much weaker in comparison. Do you want to reconsider?" The tutor looked at Sima Yu as if she was a good seedling. Sima Yu shook her head, saying, "Thank you for your advice, teacher. I only want to learn medical skills." "Are you sure?" The tutor looked at her bitterly. "I'm sure." "Sigh, all right. Then go over there and join them. The tutor handed her a token with a pained expression. The others were shocked when they saw that she had chosen medical skills, especially Tuoba Yen Air, and the others who had seen her arrays and knew how powerful they were. They originally thought that she would choose to continue learning arrays, but they didn't expect her to choose medical skills. Medical skills were the least outstanding of all the major professions, and could even be said to have the lowest status in the entire school. They also had the least number of students, and even had the least amount of teaching resources. Therefore, her choice of medical skills was a shock to everyone. All right, now someone will bring you to your living quarters. They will explain some things about the school, where you can go, where you can't go, where you need to pay attention to. They will tell you everything. The first week is your free time, and classes will begin after a week. All right, you can all go now. The tutor hurriedly left after he finished speaking. He had to tell the vice principal that Sima Yue had chosen medical skills. A few students came up and brought them to their living quarters. The spiritual power faculty had the most people. 110 out of the 172 students were from this faculty. The other faculties added up to only 62 people. The student who brought them back told them about the things they needed to pay attention to in the school, and then left without looking back. Sima Yue originally thought that she would live separately from everyone, but when she went there, she found out that the spiritual power faculty had their own living quarters, while the professions lived together. 6 of them lived in a courtyard, and they could choose their own dormitory mates. As a result, Sima Yue and the other 5 lived together, and Sima Yulin was also included. Sima Yuming and the other 3 brothers lived together with little Tu and another person. Sima Yue and the others looked at their own courtyard, and subconsciously compared it to the previous school. They found that this courtyard was bigger, and the scenery was more beautiful. I never thought that there would be a day when we would be students again. Beigong Tang sighed. Our age in the primordial lands is about the same as a few years old child. It's nothing special for us to come to the school again. Sima Yue said, we've been constantly on the move, dealing with all kinds of things, and rarely had time to cultivate. Now that we've more or less settled our affairs, we can cultivate here and increase our strength. Now that Beigong Tang and the others' affairs were settled, all that was left was to heal her brother, and wait until she had the strength to take revenge. Now that they had the chance to enter the school, they could stop and cultivate. Yu, what about your heaven's halberd? Sima Yulin asked. Don't we have some free time? I've already memorized the spatial coordinates, so I'll go back tonight and climb the heavenly stairway again. I'll see if I can think of a way to get my heaven's halberd back. Chapter 550. They all believed that Sima Yue had made her own decision, so they did not say anything more. After that, they each chose a house. Sima Yue did not have time to tidy up her room, so she ate a pill and began to recover her mental strength. These few days on the heavenly stairs, her mental state had always been in a tense state. After coming down, she was taken away without any rest. Now she had to quickly recover her strength. She originally wanted to rest in the spirit pagoda, but she was not familiar with this place, and did not know how many experts there were. If she was discovered by others, then it would be troublesome. In the latter half of the night, she greeted Wei Ziqi and the rest, and set up a teleportation array in the courtyard. I don't know how many days I will be gone this time. If I am not back by the time classes start, help me apply for leave. After saying that, she stepped into the teleportation array. After a while, at the foot of the heavenly stairs, a space opened up, and Sima Yue walked out from it. Now she was used to setting up short-distance teleportation arrays, and the location of the exit was just a little above the ground. This place was not as lively as it was a few days ago, and the towering mountain peak seemed especially cold and cheerless in the night. Standing here once again, she thought of the time when she walked up, and did not know if she could reach the top. She lifted her foot and stepped on the stone steps, and the familiar pressure pressed down on her, but it did not hinder her footsteps. She did not even start to use her spiritual energy, and purely relied on the strength of her body to resist the pressure. When she reached the 1000th step, she felt a little tired, and started to use the spiritual energy in her body to resist. After adjusting her breathing, she continued to walk up. Night turned into day, and day turned into night again. The higher she went, the slower she walked. However, after 2 days, she reached the place where she stopped. There were still 2,000 steps left. She raised her head and looked at the stone steps, ate some pills, and continued to walk. What she did not know was that after she disappeared into the clouds, 2 figures appeared at the foot of the mountain. Vice Principal, how did you know she would come here? The teacher in charge of recruitment asked. Intuition. Vice Principal said, looking at the person in the clouds with a thoughtful look. He didn't expect that something that had been on top for so many years would actually have a reaction. This caused the 2 old men in the distance to react and ask him what was going on. In view of the fact that they had tied him up in the academy all these years while they went out to have fun, he was very kind and didn't say anything to them. Am I that easy to enslave? You want to know the reason? Then come back by yourself. I wonder if she can walk to the top of the mountain. 9,000. He was still short of 1,000. Sima Yue felt more and more pressure. She needed a long time to prepare for every step she took. Sometimes she could not even lift her foot for half an hour. Seeing her walk higher and higher, the 2 people below also became a little nervous. Could she become the person who reached the top again after that person? It took her a week to climb the last 1,000 steps, but she managed to clench her teeth and succeed. After stepping onto the last step, the pressure on her body instantly disappeared. That instant feeling of relaxation almost made her lose her balance and fall down the stone steps. She took out a healing pill and swallowed it. All the bones in her body ached faintly. If it wasn't for Qi Yan refining her body twice, she was afraid that it would not be as simple as just pain. Facing Tongtian Pavilion, she was not in a hurry to go in. Instead, she sat on the last step and began to recuperate and recover her strength. No one knew what the inside of Tongtian Pavilion was like. She had to maintain a good state to go in. Otherwise, she was afraid that she would not be able to deal with any dangers. While she was resting, the vice principal and the recruitment teacher left quietly. Before disappearing, the vice principal said, "Go back and make arrangements for her not attending class on time." "Yes," the recruitment teacher replied. 1 day later, Sima Yue pushed open the door of Tongtian Pavilion. To her surprise, there was nothing in the pavilion except for her Heaven's Halberd that was attracted here. "There's nothing here. Why is Heaven's Halberd here?" She walked towards Heaven's Halberd and grabbed it in her hand. It was restless in her hand, but it did not fly out again. Sigh. A soft sigh suddenly sounded in the room, startling her. But when she looked carefully, there was no one. However, she did hear a sound and felt the air flow in the pavilion. This was definitely not a hallucination. The Heaven's Halberd in her hand became even more agitated. Sima Yue could no longer hold it and let it go. The moment Heaven's Halberd left, she was startled. Was this guy going to run away again? If it ran away, where would she find it? She turned around and did not see Heaven's Halberd fly out of the pavilion. But she was still startled. Who was this man with Heaven's Halberd? When did he appear here? Also, he clearly did not have any life force. Could he be like Mo Sha, a spirit? But he was not transparent either. He did not seem like a spirit. Who are you? She calmed herself down and asked. Actually, when she saw Heaven's Halberd lying quietly in that person's hand, she already had her own guesses. But this guess was subconsciously rejected by her. She felt that if her guess was true, it would be too terrifying. But the other person's next words confirmed her guess. Even if I told you my name, you wouldn't know it. But later on, people called me Emperor Qingdao. That handsome man said. You're really Emperor Qingdao? Sima Yue was extremely shocked. Didn't they say that Emperor Qingdao had disappeared a long time ago? How could he be here? Could it be that he had lived for such a long time, and had always been hiding here? Seeing her doubts, the other person smiled and said, I'm also not him. And, didn't you feel that I had no life force? Emperor Qingdao smiled and said, How did you know? My thoughts. Sima Yue did not finish speaking before stopping. If the other person had really reached the legendary level, Reading people's thoughts was not impossible. The other person smiled and shook his head, saying, I said I'm not him because I'm only a spirit that he left behind. Spirit? Sima Yue looked at the other person's body and thought of the spirit that Feng Zhixing and the others left behind in her body. This was clearly not on the same level. That's right, I'm only a spirit. The other person nodded with certainty. How could you be here? Where did Emperor Qingdao himself go? She could not suppress the curiosity in her heart and asked. The other person seemed to be a little confused. After a while he said, I don't know about his matters after I left him. As for why I'm here, it's because I'm waiting for you. Chapter 551. Waiting for me. Sima Yue was shocked when she heard that. This imperial emperor Qingdao had existed for hundreds of thousands of years. How did he know that he would come here? Emperor Qingdao's divine sense nodded before shaking his head. I was waiting for someone to come here, but after waiting for so long, you're the only one. Sima Yue heaved a sigh of relief. She knew that Emperor Qingdao had been away for so long. How could he have known that she would come? If he was just waiting for the next person who could reach this place, then he was just coincidentally the person he was waiting for. Then what are you doing here? She asked. I need to think about this. The other party said something that made her speechless. Then he really started to think about it seriously. Seeing that he was deep in thought, she did not dare to disturb him. Instead, she began to size him up, and a wave of sympathy rose in her heart. Although he was only a strand of consciousness, he had stayed here alone for decades, guarding the mission given to him by the main body. However, because too much time had passed, his memories had become blurry. How many years would it take to erase these traces? I remember now. Emperor Qingdao's voice was still indifferent. He wasn't excited because of his memories. He said that he wanted me to tell the next person who ascends the stairway to heaven that the changes in the heavenly Tao might be due to human factors. If you can stand at the top of the world one day, you must go to a place and change the world for the sake of the world. The more Sima Yue listened, the more shocked she became. She didn't expect Emperor Qingdao's divine sense to tell the world such a thing. She knew that the heavenly Tao's rules were very different from before. She had heard of the heavenly Tao's rules changing more than once. She had even suspected why the heavenly Tao had changed. However, when she heard the doubts of the former emperor, she still felt shocked. What exactly did Emperor Qingdao discover back then that made him leave behind such a message in his consciousness? Moreover, this divine sense was only given to those who could set foot here, indicating that this matter could only be done by those who reached the peak of the world in the future. Did he say anything else? Where is that place? The consciousness shook its head and said, he said that if you can reach that level, you will naturally know where it is. Woo woo woo. The heaven's halberd made a whining sound. It was clearly a divine weapon without a weapon spirit, but Sima Yue always felt that it was more spiritual than ordinary divine weapons. It was as if it was not a broken weapon, but a complete divine weapon. The divine sense lowered its head and looked lovingly at the halberd in its hand. It's been hundreds of thousands of years. I didn't expect to see you again. He stroked the heaven's halberd, his eyes filled with nostalgia. Sima Yue knew that this was the spiritual weapon that he had used when he was young. Judging from his expression, he was probably reminiscing about the past. Your aura is on it, Emperor Qingdao said. Sima Yue did not expect him to suddenly mention this. She was a little embarrassed. I bought this at the auction. As she spoke, she raised her eyes to look at him. She didn't see any unhappiness in his eyes, so she knew that he didn't intend to blame her. I didn't expect us to be fated, Emperor Qingdao said. Since that's the case, then I'll give you good karma. Good karma? Sima Yue felt the air around her freeze. There was a cloud of fog in her mind. It was so hazy that she couldn't see clearly what was inside. What is this? This is a set of battle techniques that I created myself. When used with the heaven's halberd, it can maximize its power, Emperor Qingdao said. If you can find the other part of the heaven's halberd, then you can obtain this battle technique. Sima Yue's mouth twitched. She could only obtain this battle technique if she found the other part. In other words, if she couldn't find it, even if it was in her mind, she wouldn't be able to obtain it. Emperor Qingdao saw her expression and knew what she was thinking. He smiled and said, "This battle technique was originally developed based on the Heaven's Halberd. If you can't obtain the Heaven's Halberd, then this battle technique won't be suitable for other halberds. It's useless. So that's why. But this Heaven's Halberd is only a divine weapon. It doesn't even have a weapon spirit. Even if I find the other part, it's still a piece of trash. How can it still be used?" She asked the question in her heart. Emperor Qingdao's divine sense shook his head. Although this Heaven's Halberd is only a divine weapon, how can my Qingdao's weapon be ordinary? As long as you can find something, this broken spirit weapon can be reunited. What is it? The Heaven Mending Stone. Sima Yue's mouth twitched again. The Heaven Mending Stone, that was a legendary spirit stone. How could she obtain it so casually? But this was also an accident. If she could obtain these things in the future, it wouldn't be bad. If she couldn't, then there was no need to force it. She bowed to Emperor Qingdao and said, "Many thanks for Senior's gift. To be able to complete his task before disappearing, my waiting here for so many years was not in vain." Emperor Qingdao said, "Senior, what's wrong? I've waited here for too long. My divine sense is about to dissipate. Even if you didn't come today, in another 3 to 5 years, I would have disappeared from this world." Emperor Qingdao said somewhat sadly, "I didn't expect that after waiting for so long, only you would come. Fine, I'll let our good karma get closer." After saying that, he turned into specks of starlight without any reluctance. A part of it merged into the Heaven's Halberd, while the other part entered her body. Sima Yue was shocked, but she had no way to stop it. Fortunately, she checked her body and there was nothing wrong with it. She was relieved. This Emperor Qingdao's strength is really terrifying. But at least his divine sense still gives people a heavy sense of oppression. I just don't know why he entered my body in the end. Could this be the good karma he talked about? She muttered. Seeing the Heaven's Halberd on the ground, she walked over and put it away. If you didn't come here, I shouldn't have climbed the heavenly stairway so early. I also wouldn't have met Emperor Qingdao's divine sense. What do you mean by that place? If his guess is correct, then this heavenly Tao. She sighed and looked around. There was nothing in the empty house. Without Emperor Qingdao's divine sense, this place seemed even more desolate. A cold air enveloped her. She pushed open the door and went out. Standing at this height, all she could see were the towering mountains. It's lonely at the top. What kind of feeling do those who stand at the top of the world have? Do they feel lonely? After sighing for a while, she began to fiddle with the teleportation array. She had been away for so long. The reporting time for the academy had passed. She didn't know what kind of situation she would face when she returned. Chapter 552. When Sima Yue returned to her courtyard, it was already noon. Wei Ziqi and Bei Gongtang were in the house while the other three had yet to return from class. "Yue, you're finally back." Bei Gongtang saw Sima Yue and walked over asking, "Did you get the Heaven's Halberd back?" Sima Yue nodded. "You finished climbing the heavenly stairs?" Wei Ziqi asked in surprise. Sima Yue nodded. "Don't tell anyone about this." "Don't worry." Wei Ziqi and Bei Gongtang promised. At most, only a few of them would know about it. They definitely wouldn't spread it out. If this matter was known by outsiders, who knew what would happen? "By the way, the dean asked you to meet him when you're back," Bei Gongtang said. "Don't worry, we've already applied for leave for you. They said it's fine, but you have to go and see him immediately when you come to the academy." Sima Yue nodded and turned around to leave, but was pulled back by Bei Gongtang. She looked at Bei Gongtang suspiciously. "Do you know the way to the teaching office?" Bei Gongtang laughed as she asked. Sima Yue shook her head. She had left on the same day, so how would she know where the road was? "I'll take you there." It was rare for Bei Gongtang to see her so muddle-headed. She did not know what she had encountered these past few days. "Ziki, when they come back in a while, tell them that Yue is back. Don't worry." "Okay, you guys can go," Wei Ziqi replied. Bei Gongtang brought Sima Yue through the campus and explained to her which department the buildings belonged to and what their functions were. We're here. It's the second room on the left on the third floor. Go ahead, I'll wait for you downstairs. When they reached the administration building, Bei Gongtang stopped. Without the teacher's permission, students were not allowed to enter the academic affairs building. She could only wait for him downstairs. Sima Yue nodded at her and entered the academic affairs building. She went to the second floor and knocked on the door of the second room on the left. There was a conversation going on inside, but when the door was knocked, the conversation stopped, and the voice of the recruitment teacher came through. Come in. Sima Yue did not expect the recruitment teacher to be the dean. She was slightly surprised, but she quickly adjusted her mental state and pushed the door open. But when she went in, she was shocked by the people sitting inside. Senior, what are you doing here? Seeing Wu Lingyu sitting on the chair, she felt that her eyes might have blurred and she was hallucinating. No wonder she felt that the voices of the two people talking inside were familiar. One was the admissions teacher, and the other was her senior brother. It would be strange if she didn't know them. Sima Yu, this is the new teacher of the sect. He's in charge of this batch of freshmen. The dean of teaching said, Teacher Wu has already told me about the relationship between the two of you. Because the two of you are fellow disciples, we are going to let Teacher Wu be the teaching assistant. The corner of Sima Yu's mouth twitched uncontrollably. Responsible for this batch of new students. Yue Yang to be the? In Yue to learn? Yue. Director, are you sure he has medical skills? Can he teach me well? Since I can come here, I naturally have this confidence. Wu Lingyu looked at her with a smile. Sima Yue glared at him. She had something important to do here. What was this guy doing here? She wanted to improve her medical skills, because she must think of a method to cure Shimen Feng within 5 years, and also think of a method to cure Feng Ruyan. This was why she insisted on choosing the medical school. She was still hoping to find a way here. If this guy messed up her plan, she would be pissed to death. Yue, the vice principal said that as the teaching assistant, Teacher Wu will be in charge of you. If you have any problems with teaching, you can look for Teacher Ge. The dean said. Why don't you just let Teacher Ge teach me? Sima Yue protested. Bei Gongtang had told her before she came. They had found out that the best teacher in the medical school was Teacher Ge. If she could get Teacher Ji's help, she might be able to find a solution quickly. Thinking of this, she glared at him again. Teacher Ge already has quite a number of students under him. He said that he can teach you about medicine, but he won't be responsible for other things. Since Teacher Wu is new, he will be responsible for other things. The teaching director said. Teacher Wu is also new. I'm afraid he's not very familiar with the things here. Sima Yue said. You're wrong. I'm very familiar with this place. Wu Lingyu smiled. I was a student here before. I've been here for a few decades. Wu Lingyu looked at Sima Yu's surprised face with satisfaction and continued. So don't worry. I'll definitely settle your matters. Sima Yu's heart was filled with depression, but he had already decided. What else could she say? All right. Sima Yue was too lazy to care about him. Dean, why did you call me here? It's about your leave. But I've already talked to Teacher Wu about it. The dean said. Teacher Wu will bring you to the vice principal's office later. He wants to see you. Yes. Wu Lingyu stood up from his seat and said. If that's the case, I'll bring Yue over first. Go ahead. The dean waved his hand. Seeing them leave, he shook his head regretfully. She was such a good seedling. Why did the vice principal allow her to stay in the medical faculty? After leaving the office, Sima Yue turned around and glared at Wu Lingyu. Why are you here? I'm not here to join in the fun. Wu Lingyu said. I said that I want to go with you. In case Mo Sha wakes up and can't find me. And I can't be a student again, so I can only come in and be a teacher. Sima Yue rolled her eyes at him. How come I didn't know that you were a student here? You didn't ask me. Wu Lingyu said. All right, I'll bring you to the vice principal's office. The vice principal has been waiting for you for a long time. Don't get in my way, or else, humph. Sima Yue waved her fist at Wu Lingyu before turning to leave. She stopped after taking 2 steps and asked, "Aren't you going to lead the way? You're going in the wrong direction. The vice principal's office is this way." Wu Lingyu looked at her darkened face with satisfaction. He smiled and turned to leave. Sima Yue glared at Wu Lingyu's back. She wanted to burn a hole with her glare. Seeing that he was about to disappear at the stairs, she followed him. Wu Lingyu brought her to the vice principal's office. He knocked on the door and said, "Go in by yourself. I still have some things to settle. I won't accompany you in." Chapter 553. Sima Yue looked at Wu Lingyu's back as he left. Why did she feel that he was running away? She raised her hand and was about to knock on the door when the vice principal's voice came from inside. "Come in." Sima Yue pushed the door open and saw a spacious office. There was a huge bookshelf, a set of office tables and chairs, and a few chairs beside it. The simple furnishings made the room even more spacious. Behind the table, a white-haired old man was leaning against the chair and resting with his eyes closed. When he heard her enter, he sat up and said, "Sima Yue." Sima Yue recognized him as the old man she had seen before the first assessment. She bowed politely and said, "Vice Principal, the dean said that you were looking for me. Did you see anything good on the stairway to heaven?" The vice principal asked directly. Sima Yue wasn't surprised that the people from the academy knew that she had once again climbed the heavenly staircase. Since the other party had asked her directly, there was no need for her to hide anything. Seeing the other party's curious gaze, she said, "There's nothing up there. The pavilion of heaven is empty, not even a chair. Vice Principal, you should have known that I went to the Tower of Tongtian, right? Otherwise, do you think you'd still be standing here?" The vice principal said. "Ha." Sima Yue was confused. "Tuoba Han Songlong Li," the vice principal reminded them. Sima Yue then recalled that Tuoba Han and the rest were taken away by a beam of light at the very last moment. They did not report with them. However, after he walked down the stone steps, nothing like this happened. "You did it." She looked at the vice principal in surprise. Those people from the inner courtyard are always snatching people from me. Every time they find someone with good talent, they would take them back. This time, I made them lose a big fish." The vice principal said while shaking his beard. This meant that he had indeed done something. "Why? The faculty of medicine doesn't exist in the inner courtyard." The vice principal's reason was enough for her to express her gratitude for his actions. "Thank you, Vice President." She thanked him. "Why did you choose the faculty of medicine?" the vice principal asked. "To save people." Sima Yue replied. "My medical skills are limited now, so I want to learn and find a way to save people." "Just for this?" "Yes. Then you can also choose the alchemy department or the array formation department, and then study the medical department." "I plan to major in the medical faculty, then study the array formation faculty and alchemy faculty. Are you sure you don't want to change?" "I'm sure." Seeing how determined she was, the vice principal said helplessly, "Because you are the only new student in the medical faculty, the school will not hold separate classes. Therefore, you have to arrange your own time. Wu Lingyu will be in charge of your other matters as your teaching assistant. As for medical matters, you can look for Teacher Ge. I've already talked to her. She will take out 2 nights a week to answer your questions. As for the specific time, you can discuss it yourselves. Also, if you want to attend classes in other departments, you can go directly. Understood? No classes?" This was practically tailor-made for her. Sima Yue was secretly delighted, but she did not show it on her face. "Understood. Since you understand, you can go back. If you need anything, you can look for me here directly." The vice principal closed his eyes after he finished speaking. Sima Yue bowed and left. She was a little puzzled. Did the vice principal ask her to come here just to say these words to her? The teaching director could also pass these words on to her. After she left, the vice principal shook his chair and said faintly, "After so many years, you finally appeared." Sima Yue left the school building and saw that Bei Gong Tang was still waiting for her. She walked forward and said, "Let's go back." "Yue, I saw your senior just now. Why is he here?" Bei Gong Tang asked. Thinking of this, Sima Yue could not help but face bomb. "He came here to be a teacher." Bei Gong Tang could not help but laugh. "He came to be a teacher?" "Yes," Sima Yue said helplessly. "And he's my teaching assistant. What's going on?" "Let's go back first. I'll tell you on the way." Knowing that Sima Yue did not need to go to class and could walk freely in the sect for classes, everyone was envious of her and happy for her. Her main purpose here was to find a way to cure Shimenfeng. Going to class was not of much use to her. Also, the vice principal gave her the right to go to other faculties for classes. If she was happy, she could go to class. If she was busy, she could not go. But no one would say anything. This was simply too good. Yue, this teacher Go, is said to have a weird temper. He is also an alchemist, but he chose to stay in the medical faculty. And it is said that he has very strict requirements for students. I don't know what it will be like for a student like you who is not considered a student, Sima Yue said. I'll go see him tomorrow, Sima Yue said. I think since it's the vice principal's order, it shouldn't be too difficult to deal with. In fact, she was completely wrong. That Mr. Gu was someone who didn't even care about the vice principal. He was willing to take her along because she was more skilled in treating Tuobahan in the glaze illusion. He thought that she had a higher medical talent, that's all. So when she went to look for him the next day, he threw a book at her and said, "Go back and read the things in this book. Come and see me in 5 days. If you can pass my test, you can become my student." Sima Yue hugged the heavy book and went back silently. The things in this book were all relatively uncommon. There were some difficult and complicated diseases that spirit masters might suffer from. After reading these, she realized that it wasn't that spirit masters didn't get sick. It was just that she hadn't met any sick spirit masters. It was just that the probability of a spirit master falling sick was very small. But most of the diseases in it were ordinary people. Sima Yue spent 5 days to read the thick book from beginning to end. After reading it, she found that more than half of the knowledge was already known to her. The rest were things that she had not seen in her 2 lifetimes, no 3 lifetimes. In these 5 days, Wu Lingyu called her to his courtyard, saying that he was helping her learn. But only she knew that after she went there, she was reading the book while he was looking at her from the side. She was annoyed by him and slammed the book shut. She glared at him and asked, "Senior, is the academy all right?" "It's all right. Now it's the time for everyone to learn. It's not time for those trials and tests," Wu Lingyu said. "Then is the Sage Pavilion all right?" She did not give up and asked. The Sage Pavilion's matters are taken care of. As long as that old thing doesn't come out, I'll be fine." Wu Lingyu snickered in his heart. "But I've said it before, he won't come out for a while. If he comes out, it will be his final struggle. Then you have nothing to do." "Yes," Wu Lingyu answered straightforwardly. "What? I'll accompany you to read." Sima Yue controlled herself and did not throw the book in her hand out. Chapter 554. 5 days later, Sima Yue went to Professor Gulang's office. This time there were people in the office. There were a few students inside, and they seemed to be researching some topic. She originally wanted to wait outside, but Gulang knew that she was outside, so he stopped his discussion with the other students and said, "Come in." Sima Yue pushed the door open and entered. She placed the book on the table and said, "Return the jade to Zhao." "Finished reading?" Gulang glanced at the book and asked. "Yes," Sima Yue replied. "I've finished reading them." "Then let's start the test now. Each of you, find a question from this book and ask her," Gulang said to the students sitting below her. "Yes, Mr. Gu." The students respectfully took the book, and each of them randomly chose a topic to ask about. No matter if it was about medicinal herbs or diseases, Sima Yue answered them all fluently. They didn't know how much practical experience she had, but at least she was good at theoretical knowledge. Gulang was a picky person, but he couldn't find fault with Sima Yue. Have you read this book before? He asked, putting the book away. No, but I've known some of the content before, so it'll be faster, Sima Yue said. And I already knew those herbs before, so I saved a lot of time this time. You are honest, said Glenn. Take this book and study it. Ask me again if you have any questions. Yes, Mr. Gu. Although Sima Yue really wanted to tell him about Shiman Feng's situation, but seeing that there were still people here, she took the book and left. When she was about to leave, she heard Gu Lang say, "There are many medical books in the library. You can go take a look. I've been a little busy lately." Yes, thank you for your advice, Mr. Gu. Sima Yue replied and left the office. It seemed that he would have to rely on himself if there were any problems. After returning home, Wu Lingyu was still leisurely sunbathing in the yard. When he saw Sima Yue, he asked, "You're back so soon?" Okay. Sima Yue took it out and sat back down to continue watching. You changed it? Wu Lingyu asked. Yes. Let me come back and take a look. If there's anything I don't understand, I can ask him, Sima Yue said. The teachers here are all like this. You'll get used to it, Wu Lingyu said. He seemed to be comforting her. I understand, Sima Yue said. This is actually better for me. I can search for information based on Feng's situation. Mr. Gu said that he's been busy recently and told me to go to the library if I have any questions. The library is a good place. You can go and have a look, Wu Lingyu said. Sima Yue turned around and looked at Wu Lingyu. What did you learn when you studied here? She had never seen him concoct pills, nor had she seen him forge weapons or tame beasts. He didn't even know about arrays, so what did he come here to learn? It couldn't be learning cultivation, right? She wouldn't believe it. I learned a secret. I won't tell you, Wu Lingyu said mysteriously. You. Sima Yue gritted her teeth. I'll know even if you don't tell me. But you've been here for decades. You should know about the inner courtyard, right? Wu Lingyu looked up at her. Seeing the curiosity on her face, he said, You want to go to the inner courtyard? Sima Yue shook her head. The vice principal said that there's no medical department in the inner courtyard. It's better for me to stay here. But I'm still curious about the inner courtyard. Tuobahan and the others went directly to the inner courtyard. After you've cured your brother, you can go to the inner courtyard to take a look, Wu Lingyu said. You'll be able to grow faster if you go there. What's the inner courtyard like? It's nothing much. The people who go there are more talented and stronger. There are more resources there. Other than that, there's no difference, Wu Lingyu said. The academy holds a selection every 10 years. 2 years later, there will be an internal selection in the inner courtyard. As long as you meet the requirements, you can go to the inner courtyard. Is the internal selection targeted at new students? No. Some old students who didn't enter the inner courtyard in the previous selection will also participate in the later selection. It's just that there's a limited number of places in the inner courtyard. Not everyone can enter. Some people have been here for hundreds of years and still can't enter the inner courtyard, Wu Lingyu explained. So 2 years later, you can choose whether to enter the inner courtyard or not. There's still 2 years. Sima Yue rubbed her chin and said, It'll be great if Feng's illness can be cured in these 2 years. After saying that, she put away her book, stood up and walked outside. When you see the old guard in the library, be more respectful to him. Wu Lingyu's voice came from behind. Sima Yue stopped in her tracks and left without looking back. She was going to the library. But how did this guy know? Was he a roundworm in her stomach? It's not a roundworm. It's called telepathy. Wu Lingyu's words came from behind again, causing Sima Yue to almost fall. When she walked out of the courtyard, she could still hear the muffled laughter behind her. She gritted her teeth and didn't plan to follow Wu Lingyu's words. She turned around and went to her own courtyard. She didn't think that Wei Ziqi and the others would be there. She thought that she wasn't in a rush to go to the library and she hadn't seen them for a long time. She got Fatty Chu to call Sima Yuming and the others over so that everyone could gather. When Sima Yuming and the others came, they didn't see Little Tuesday. Where's Little Tu? He was taken away by the vice principal. He said that he's going to nurture him alone. Sima Yuran said. I think the vice principal found out that he has the blood of a spirit beast. Vice principal? Sima Yue thought of that kind-looking old man whose eyes shone brightly. Hearing Wu Lingyu's evaluation of him, little two should be fine if he was with him. When everyone was gathered, everyone said that they would go home to take a look. As such, a group of people prepared to leave the school and go home. Just as they reached the school gate, they saw a group of people walking into the school. Oh, isn't this Bei Gongtang who destroyed her own clan? What are you doing here? A girl who was dressed flirtatiously saw Bei Gongtang and said sharply. TSK, a group of men, and only you are the only woman. Are they all your lovers? You're so good at controlling men. I wonder if your mother also found helpers to escape from the Bei Gong clan like this? When they heard this, Sima Yue and the others stopped and looked at the group of people. Their expressions were ugly. Linger, is she the Bei Gongtang you were talking about? One of the men in the group asked. Isn't it them? Su Ling looked at Bei Gongtang with disdain. Oh, such a beautiful lady. What's the point of following a few brats who are still wet behind the ears? Why don't you follow us? This young master will definitely. Bang dash, that person hadn't even finished speaking when he was sent flying. Chapter 555. Who are you? How dare you hit me? The man crawled up from the ground and looked at Sima Yue while clutching his stomach. That's right. Sima Yue retracted her leg. Who are you? How dare you hit the young master of the Ouyang family? The group of people looked at Sima Yue cautiously. They didn't even see how she moved, but she had already run over and kicked Ouyang Dong away. The speed, the strength, they were all caught unprepared. But they had never seen her before. They had already met Sima Yulin and the others, and had even had quite a few conflicts. However, the person in front of them was obviously familiar with them, but none of them recognized him. How dare you? We've already warned the people of the academy not to get close to them. Yet you still dare to be with them. I think you don't want to live anymore. Sima Yu turned around to look at Sima Yulin and the others. Seeing their expressions, she knew that it was true. Who do you think you are? Why should I listen to you? She looked at those people. They were not the students who had entered the school at the same time as them. It seemed that they were the old students. Ouyang Dong walked over and condensed his spirit chi to attack Sima Yue. How dare you? I want you to lie here and not get up today. Sima Yue looked at his attack. He was actually a high-level god king, one level higher than her. However, his attack did not pose much of a threat to her. She quickly formed a defensive barrier in front of her to block the attack. Furthermore, she took advantage of this gap and condensed her spirit energy to counterattack. Ouyang Dong didn't think that she would be able to counterattack in this situation, and was stunned for a moment. This moment of distraction allowed Sima Yu's spirit energy to hit him. Young Master Ouyang. Su Ling, and the others ran over and helped Ouyang Dong up. How dare you hurt young Master Ouyang? Sima Yue looked at Ouyang Fei and said, Ouyang, he has the same surname as you. But compared to you, his character is far worse. Not only was he wretched and vulgar, he was also vicious and merciless, wanting to kill people at the slightest provocation. Yu, Sima Yulin and the others came over and stood beside her. The atmosphere between the two sides was on the verge of exploding. Beigong, who is that? Sima Yue lifted her chin towards Su Ling, and asked. She didn't forget that this woman had said some nasty words just now. That's Su Ling Beigong Ao's elder sister married into the Su clan. She's the only child left behind. Beigong Tang said with an ugly expression. Her mother has a good relationship with Beigong Ao. So she is from the Beigong family. No wonder. Sima Yue sneered. I didn't think that she would also be in the heavenly sect. Ever since she found out that I had entered, she has caused trouble for us many times. Beigong Tang said. What she didn't say was that because the people she brought with her were stronger, they were bullied several times. Of course, it was also because they were unwilling to reveal that they had contracted sacred beasts. However, how could Sima Yu not have guessed it? She understood from Sima Yulin and the others' unnatural expressions. You were bullied. No wonder you didn't tell me, she said. Cough cough. Didn't we see that you were busy? Also, we thought that it wouldn't be good to cause too much of a ruckus when we just arrived. Sima Yuming said. So you were bullied? Sima Yue looked at them disapprovingly. They had considered that they had to keep a low profile in a new environment. However, that was only if they weren't bullied. If they were bullied, so what if they revealed their strength? I didn't want to implicate everyone. Bei Gongtang said. Sima Yue looked at her and sighed. When it came to her personal matters, she lost her usual calmness and courage. Is the Su clan very strong? She asked. Stronger than the Yin clan. Bei Gongtang said. Stronger than Little Rock? Bei Gongtang understood what Sima Yue meant. She meant that even if they were strong, Little Rock would support her. I understand. She nodded. Su Ling-er, Ouyang Dong, and the others saw that the other party didn't even put them in their eyes and were still talking. They felt that they were being looked down upon, and were furious. Although the older students usually don't bully the new students, we can't tolerate the new students provoking us. Otherwise, people will think that us older students are useless. Another black-clothed guy said. I will definitely kill you. Ouyang Dong glared at Sima Yue. You want to kill me with just you? Sima Yue looked at him disdainfully. I don't like to leave behind trouble for those who want to kill me. Yue, let's just forget about it. The Ouyang clan has a lot of power in the outer regions. Bei Gongtang said. Is the Ouyang clan powerful? Sima Yue asked. Bei Gongtang nodded. This was also the reason why she didn't want to clash with them. Ouyang Dong and Su Ling-er had a good relationship. It was even said that he was pursuing her. So when he heard that she wanted to teach Bei Gongtang a lesson, he ran the fastest. If it wasn't for the fact that the new students had just entered and it wasn't good to kill them at this time, they would have already attacked Bei Gongtang and the others. More powerful than Little Rock? Sima Yue asked again. Bei Gongtang shook her head. Little Rock was the king of the rocks. Even the rocks had to listen to him. Even if the Ouyang clan's power was not bad, they couldn't compare to Little Rock. How long has he been in the academy? Almost 100 years. Fatty Chu replied. He hasn't entered the inner sect for almost 100 years. This means that his talent isn't that great. Sima Yue said. Since it's like this, the Ouyang clan won't say anything if I want to kill him. Ha, you want to kill me with just you? Ouyang Dong laughed as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. You guys go. Kill them all for me. Yes, young Master Ouyang. The others revealed their killing intent. For the sake of the older student's reputation, they couldn't leave these people alive today. Sima Yue and the others were also ready to attack, preparing to exterminate the other party. The heavenly sect was different from the Yilin continent schools. There were no restrictions on killing here. If you were not strong enough and were killed in the school wouldn't care. Just as the two sides were about to fight, a delicate shout came out from the school. Stop. Sima Yue heard this voice and knew who had come. Tuoba Yen-er came in front of Sima Yue and said, Ouyang Dong, you dare to kill my Tuoba Yen-er's friend? Feng Wuhen, Wang Kai and Mu Lin were also with them. Lady Tuoba, why have you come? Ouyang Dong saw Tuoba Yen-er and broke out in cold sweat. A few days ago, he saw the pretty Tuoba Yen-er and flirted with her. In the end he was beaten up by a group of people. When he found out that she was the young miss of the Tuoba clan in the eastern mountain range, he was so scared that he almost lost his life. Furthermore, her methods of beating people were very powerful. Although her blows didn't seem heavy, they were extremely painful. So when he saw her, the fear in his heart rose again. Chapter 556. Tuoba Yen-er swept her eyes over Ouyang Dong's group and said, 20 over seniors want to kill 10 freshmen. Ouyang Dong, you're really something. They were the ones who attacked us first, a man behind said. That's right, Miss Tuoba. We are seniors. Shouldn't we retaliate when facing the provocation of freshmen? Can't you see that they want to kill us too? We are defending ourselves. That's right. Ouyang Dong smiled and said, Miss Tuoba, you heard it too. This isn't our fault. They were the ones who started it. Speaking of which, we haven't done anything yet, but I've already been beaten up twice. Humph. Sima Yue snorted. I don't usually hit people. If I hit someone, they're not human. Ouyang Dong was scolded and wanted to get angry, but he saw Tuoba Yen, standing in front of Sima Yue. Miss Tuoba, you saw it too. The freshman is too arrogant. Freshman arrogant? Are you saying that I'm arrogant too? Tuoba Yen said with a cold face. Don't forget, I'm also a freshman this year. No, how would I dare to say that about Miss Tuoba? Ouyang Dong hurriedly denied. How could Miss Tuoba be the same as those people? Tuoba Yen impatiently waved her hand and said, They are all my friends. Ouyang Dong, if you dare to find trouble with them in the future, not only will I not let you off, Han will also take care of you when he finds out. Get out of my sight. Hearing Tuoba Han's name, Ouyang Dong jumped in fright. Even though he was still angry, he didn't dare to vent it in front of Tuoba Yen. He waved his hand at the people beside him and said with a cold face, Let's go. Before she left, she did not forget to glare at Sima Yue. Sima Yue could see the killing intent in his eyes, but she was not afraid. If it wasn't for Tuoba Yen's arrival, they would already be dead. However, it didn't feel good to leave behind future troubles. Seeing that they had left, Tuoba Yen turned around and asked, Are you guys okay? Many thanks for Miss Tuoba's help. Sima Yue cupped her hands towards Tuoba Yen and thanked her. Although she didn't need his help. Even though that Ouyang Dong's talent isn't that great, he is the Ouyang clan's direct descendant. If he were to be killed in public, the Ouyang clan would definitely demand an explanation. Tuoba Yen said with a smile. Sima Yue raised her eyebrows. Was she telling her not to kill in public, but to do it secretly? Where are you going? Wang Kai looked at them arrogantly and asked. Sima Yue didn't have a good impression of Wang Kai and Mu Lin. Seeing him like this, she couldn't be bothered to reply. She said to Tuoba Yen, Young Mistress Tuoba, we still have some matters to attend to. We will take our leave first. We originally wanted to invite you guys to Memory Restaurant for a meal. Since you guys are busy, let's do it next time. Tuoba Yen said with some regret. Miss Tuoba, can you contact Tuoba Han? Sima Yue asked. Sure. However, he was currently in the inner yard and couldn't come out as he pleased. Why are you looking for him? Tuoba Yen asked. It's nothing much. It's just that he asked me to help him refine some pills last time. It's already done. Before Sima Yue finished speaking, Wang Kai interrupted her. Since it's for Han, then give it to us. We will pass it to him. I'm afraid that won't do. Sima Yue directly refused. He asked me to keep it a secret. He said that he didn't want anyone to know what kind of pills he refined. Therefore, he asked Miss Tuoba to inform him so that he can personally come and get it. Wang Kai was displeased by Sima Yue's words. He glared at her with a black face. Sima Yue didn't like people who thought too highly of themselves. If it wasn't for the fact that Tuoba Yen wasn't bad, and that she had promised Tuoba Han to help him cure the poison, she wouldn't have bothered with them. Initially, she had saved them because she wanted them to stay by her side. However, after interacting with them, she realized that Wang Kai and Mu Lin were the kind of people who thought too highly of themselves. Once they knew that they didn't have any background, they acted arrogantly towards them. The reason they were with Tuoba Yen and the others was because they had improper thoughts towards Tuoba Yen. Don't worry, I will inform him. Tuoba Yen said when she saw that Sima Yue was unhappy. Then we'll take our leave first. Sima Yue cupped her hands towards Tuoba Yen and left with Sima Yulin and the others. This Sima Yen, you saved her but she's still acting like this. How rude. Wang Kai was rarely ignored like this and said angrily. Tuoba Yen saw how Wang Kai was acting and furrowed her eyebrows. She said lightly, she saved us before. After speaking, she left first. Feng Wuhen didn't say anything the entire time. Seeing that Tuoba Yen was unhappy, he walked forward and walked beside her, ignoring Wang Kai. It seemed that their relationship wasn't very good. Wuhen, what kind of pill do you think Han asked you to refine? He actually wanted to keep it a secret. Tuoba Yen asked. It should be something important. Otherwise, he wouldn't have asked her to keep it a secret. Feng Wuhen guessed. Then I'll inform him as soon as possible. Tuoba Yenair said. It's just that the inner sect doesn't allow anyone to enter as they wish. I don't know when he'll be able to come out. I see that Sima Yue isn't in a rush. I'm guessing that this thing isn't something that he urgently needs. Furthermore, once he gets the news, he'll arrange it himself. Feng Wuhen said. Wang Kai saw that Tuoba Yenair wasn't waiting for him, and thought about her indifferent expression just now. She seemed to be blaming him, and the anger in his heart grew. He looked in the direction that Sima Yue and the others had left in. Why are you so angry? Mu Lin patted him on the shoulder. The moment this brat appeared, Yenair's attitude towards him was different. I don't know what's so good about this brat. He's just a stinky brat from the lower continents. Now she's blaming me because of him. How despicable. Wang Kai said fiercely. Indeed, he's unpleasant. Mu Lin said. Just because he's an array master and alchemist, he doesn't care about us. So what if he's an array master and alchemist? Sooner or later, I'll take care of him. Isn't it easy to take care of him? There's no need for you to do it yourself. Mu Lin said with a deeper meaning. What do you mean? Yenair treats him differently now. If you go and find trouble with him, aren't you afraid that Yenair will be unhappy? Mu Lin said as he looked into the academy. Coming to a realization, Wang Kai chuckled. That's right. If Yenair knew that I made a move on them, she might be angry and ignore me. Ouyang Dong was beaten up by him. He definitely won't let it go. When the time comes, Sima Yue hadn't even turned the corner, when she felt a burning gaze on her back. She didn't need to think to know who it was. The farmer and the snake. It seemed that she had saved a snake last time. Chapter 557. They went back to stay the night and told Sima Lai and the others about school life. They returned early the next morning. Bei Gongtang and the others went straight to class, while she asked for directions to the library. After walking around for more than half an hour, she finally arrived. Looking at the somewhat dilapidated building in front of her, she really wanted to complain. If the academy was so rich, why didn't they build a better library? She entered the library. Originally, she thought that since the outside looked shabby, the inside would look much better. At least, the inside and outside of the general's residence's library were different. He didn't expect to see a dilapidated scene after entering. The decor and bookshelves were tattered, and only the books on them were well preserved. Sima Yue looked at the ancient traces, and was curious about the history of this library. Perhaps because everyone had gone to class, there weren't many people in the library. There were only a few students inside. Next to the entrance was a shabby table. Behind the table was a shabby rocking chair with an old man lying on it. Was this the gatekeeper that Wu Lingyu had told her to respect? He looked like an ordinary old man. Just as she was sizing him up, he suddenly opened his eyes. Freshman. Yes. Leave the token and go in. The old man closed his eyes again. Sima Yue remembered the token that the dean had given her when she was reporting to school. She took it out and placed it on the table. Then she walked inside. After taking 2 steps, she turned back and asked, "Excuse me, where are the medical books?" The old man opened his eyes and sized her up. The last area on the 3rd floor. The last area on the 5th floor. The first 3 floors of the library were filled with ordinary books. They were arranged according to the usual order. The medical department was arranged at the very top and the innermost position. The 4th and 5th floors were filled with rare books from each department. According to the order of the books, the medical department was also at the very end. Thank you. She thanked him and went up to the 3rd floor. She went to the medical books section and carefully selected some books. Then, she carried them to the door on the 1st floor. I want to borrow these books. She placed the books on the table and said. That old man slowly stood up. Sima Yue saw the way he was acting and wondered when the chair would break, causing him to tumble down. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but smile. The old man glanced at her, and she immediately retracted the smile on her face. She watched him go through the books one by one, took out 2 books, and handed the rest to her. These 2 books can't be lent out. In addition, each person can only borrow 5 books at a time. There were actually books that couldn't be borrowed. However, she took a look at the 2 books. They were both taken from the last shelf. Thinking that the color of that shelf was different from the rest, perhaps the books on that shelf couldn't be borrowed. This is your brand. Take it, we can leave now. The old man urged when he saw Sima Yue deep in thought. Don't we need to put these 2 books back? She asked. Can you find their previous location? I still remember. Then you can go. Sima Yue took the 2 books and went up. The old man saw her find the previous shelf after a few turns, and his eyebrows twitched slightly. The library was so big that people who came in for the first time would usually lose their way in this maze-like room. However, she actually remembered the location of the books after just one look. This came as a surprise to him. Soon she put the book away and came back. Seeing the old man lying back down with his eyes closed, she picked up the book on the table and her card and left. When she walked out of the library, she turned back to look at the old man. She didn't feel that there was anything special about him. Why did Wu Lingyu specially remind her? After she went back, she found Wu Lingyu and asked her doubts. Wu Lingyu said lightly, "When did I say that he was a strange old man? Didn't you ask me to be respectful to him? Isn't it because he has a strange temper?" She asked with wide eyes. Wu Lingyu looked at her and couldn't help but knock on her forehead, saying, "I asked you to be respectful to him because his status is high and he has been in the academy for a long time. He deserves respect." Sima Yue was speechless. She must have misunderstood. When it comes to strange old men, the one with the worst temper is our master. Secondly, the old man in the inner courtyard is also strange. Wu Lingyu said. The old man in the inner courtyard? Who's that? Sima Yue asked curiously. Wu Lingyu's expression was strange when he mentioned the old man. This made her feel that something was wrong. He must have been defeated by that old man when he was studying here. Seeing Sima Yue's bright eyes, Wu Lingyu's eyes flashed with a trace of unnaturalness, saying, "You'll know when you have the chance to enter the inner courtyard. It's useless even if I tell you that you can't enter. You'd better read your books properly." Sima Yue knew that she wouldn't be able to get anything out of him. However, when she entered the inner courtyard, she would definitely ask him about this matter properly. Seeing that she couldn't get anything out of him, she went back to reading books. Moreover, with Wu Lingyu here, she could enter the spirit pagoda without worry and save a lot of time. Thus, 5 days later, Sima Yue went to the library again. She returned the 5 books from last time and borrowed another 5. You finished reading all of them? The old man still had an impression of Sima Yue and didn't expect her to return the books so quickly. Sima Yue placed the other 5 books on the table, saying, "I've finished reading them." The old man didn't say anything and borrowed another 5 books for her. 5 days later, she returned them again. Today, she was reading in the spirit pagoda and felt a little tired. Just as she was about to rest, Little Spirit told her that Wu Lingyu was looking for her, and she went out. The moment she went out, she saw Wu Lingyu coming in from outside. "What's wrong?" "Your 4th brother is injured," Wu Lingyu replied. "4th brother is injured? How did he get injured?" Sima Yue asked anxiously. "He got into an argument with someone, and was injured by the other party," Wu Lingyu said, "because it happened after class. The teacher usually doesn't care." What he meant was that he wouldn't care about this either. "I got it. I'll go take a look at 4th brother." After speaking, she ran off like a wisp of smoke. Sima Yue was lying on the bed at this moment. Bei Gongtang had already given him a healing pill, but his injuries were very serious and couldn't be healed immediately. A group of people surrounded the house and the atmosphere was very heavy. Bei Gongtang stood up and said, "I'm going to kill that person." Ouyang Fei, who was at the side, pulled her back, saying, "They're waiting for us to go now. If you go now, won't you fall right into their trap?" Under the eaves, gentle reminder. Please remember this site's domain name. Chapter 558. Pa! Sima Yu hurriedly ran to Sima Yu Li's house. Before she even entered, she heard a sound coming from inside. She quickened her pace and hurriedly walked over. Seeing the broken pieces of the wooden table on the ground, Bei Gong Tang stood at the side and was extremely angry. She said with some surprise, "What happened? Yue, why are you back?" Fatty Chu asked in astonishment. They knew that Sima Yue was anxious to find a way to cure Shimen Feng. Although she didn't say it, they knew that she was actually very anxious. Knowing that she usually read medical books and wanted to find a cure as soon as possible, they didn't want to disturb her. That was why they didn't inform her when Sima Yulu was injured. But how did she get here? Sima Yu saw that they had not managed to hide their anger in time, and looked at Sima Yulu who was lying on the bed. She saw that his upper body was bare, and there was a scar that extended from his left shoulder to the right of his waist. Although the wound had begun to heal after eating the pill, it still looked a little scary. She went up and grabbed his arm to check his condition. Although his internal injuries were not light, his life was not in danger. After confirming that he was fine, she breathed a sigh of relief. She put down his hand and asked with a cold face, "Who hurt you?" "It's the guy who was with Ouyang Dong that day," Sima Yula said. "He's from the class next to ours. Today after class, he came to find trouble with me, and then we fought. After that, 2 more people came. They were both high-level god kings, so..." "Ouyang Dong." Sima Yue clenched her fists. "How dare he try to kill you? I'll kill him." "Who are the other 2? Is he also the person you saw at the school gate that day?" "No, but they said that they came because of Ouyang Dong's orders." Wei Ziqi saw that Sima Yue was so angry and said, "Yue, don't be angry. Everyone thought that you were busy recently, so they didn't tell you. However, we've already discussed it. This time we won't tolerate them anymore. Since they dare to kill us, we naturally won't let them do as they please," Sima Yuran said. Bei Gongtang saw that Sima Yue was still very angry and said, "Yue, why are you here?" "Senior brother told me that 4th brother is injured." Sima Yue frowned. "I'll come back later." Although she could enter Wu Lingyu's spirit pagoda to cultivate without worrying about being discovered, she couldn't watch them get bullied. She did not want to see 2 high-level god kings and 1 mid-level god king deal with Yulu again. "5th bro, we can handle it ourselves." Sima Yulu, who was lying on the bed, raised his head and said. Before he could finish speaking, he was glared at by Sima Yu. "Go to class tomorrow and find out the identities of the people who attacked us," Sima Yue said. "Since they dared to attack 4th brother, they must be prepared to face death." "Okay. If you meet anyone who provokes you, just kill them. If anything happens, let senior brother take care of it." Sima Yue dragged Wu Lingyu out without hesitation. "Is it really okay to let him take care of the aftermath?" Sima Yulin said. "What's wrong with that? In any case, the sect didn't say that we can't kill people. Those teachers won't care. If anyone dares to jump out, let senior brother take care of it. If no one says anything, we won't bother him. Also, I'll get my bees to follow you tomorrow. If you're in danger, I'll rush over. As long as we don't provoke those old monsters, it won't be a problem," Sima Yue said. We initially wanted to keep a low profile and not cause trouble. Who would have thought that Yulu would be injured? And those people would think that we're easy to bully," Wei Ziqi said. "You don't have to hide your sacred beasts. If you can't beat them, you can just gang up on them," Sima Yue said. We will. Right now, let's discuss how to deal with Ouyang Dong and those people." In the following days, Sima Yue didn't go to Wu Lingyu's courtyard. Wu Lingyu didn't seem to be in the sect either. After 2 days, when she went to his courtyard to look for him, she found that he had left a note for her, saying that he had something to do and had left. He told her to look for the vice principal, if she needed anything. This senior brother didn't even say anything before leaving. "He's even my teaching assistant." She shook the note forcefully, turning it into ashes. But seeing what he said, it seemed that no matter what happened, she could look for the vice principal. This showed that he trusted the vice principal a lot. After 2 days, Sima Yue was reading in the courtyard when she felt movement in the spirit pagoda. She listened carefully for a while, smiled and continued reading. After 2 hours, the person who wanted to kill Sima Yulu was killed. The students of the sect all knew that Sima Yulu had almost been beaten to death a few days ago. So when they saw that he had killed the other party, not many people sympathized. Although they were afraid of the Ouyang clan's power. After another 2 days, the 2 divine kings who had participated in the assassination of Sima Yulu were killed as well. The people who had done it were naturally Sima Yuran and the others. However, because the difference in their power was too big, they borrowed the power of Sima Yulin's array. 3 students had died consecutively, and the teachers of the sect were alarmed. Some of the teachers who were on good terms with the Ouyang clan wanted to punish Sima Yulin and the others. However, the vice principals in different words caused them to suppress their thoughts in their hearts. He said, "Since you didn't interfere when it was 3 against 1, what right do you have to interfere with what happened afterwards? The sect is a fair and just place. But 3 students have already died." Someone retorted, "Has the number of people who have died in the sect been few these years?" The red-clothed lady retorted, "Why didn't you say anything when people died? Since the sect doesn't prohibit students from killing each other, there's no reason to say that many people have died. Also, I don't know who it was that said natural selection, survival of the fittest." Natural selection, survival of the fittest. This was the philosophy of the heavenly sect. That was why they never prohibited students from killing each other. Because they didn't want to nurture students who were all flowery and impractical, because such people couldn't survive in this continent. The red-clothed lady looked at their constipated expressions and laughed like flowers raining from the sky. Then, she added another stab. "Also, even if you help the Ouyang clan, they won't give you any face. You can forget about being on good terms with them." Their thoughts were directly exposed by her. Everyone's expressions turned ugly, and they all flung their sleeves and left. Sima Yu also heard some news about these teachers looking for the principal. But as long as they didn't cause trouble for them, it didn't matter. On this day, she learned that Ms. Gu had time, so she planned to ask her some medical questions. But before she could finish, she felt the movement of the Scarlet Queen bee, and her brows furrowed tightly. Chapter 559. Gulang felt that she was anxious and knew that something had happened to her. "Have you figured out the problem? If you have, then go back. I still have things to do later." Sima Yue was about to say that she wanted to leave when she heard Gulang and replied, "I have figured it out. Thank you, teacher, for your explanation. Since teacher is busy, I will not disturb you." She kept her books and left after she finished speaking. Gulang saw her anxious look and shook his head. Why is this child so impatient? He had agreed to teach Sima Yue because of the vice principal's words. In the end, after interacting with her a few times, he found out that her talent was extremely high and started to cherish her. The last time he heard from the person in the library that she had read a few books in a few days, he thought that it was just a passing observation. However, he had specially tested the knowledge in the books and found that she could answer them fluently. This meant that she had read them seriously. Sima Yue left the office and hurriedly ran towards the plaza. Along the way, many students were running towards her. As they ran, they said, "Hurry up, if we are late we will not be able to see anything." "It's a group fight. I haven't seen it in a long time," someone said excitedly. "What group fight?" Looking at them, it should be a group kill. The new students are facing off against the old students. They don't know how to lower their heads and admit defeat. How can they be a match for the old students? That might not be the case. Those new students had killed 2 old students the last time. Otherwise, why would Ouyang Dong and the others block them in the plaza to kill them? I think those new students are doomed this time. I heard that Ouyang Dong brought a lot of people this time. There are only 10 of them, and they are not as strong as him. That might not be the case. I heard that they are not weak and even have sacred beasts. They all have sacred beasts? How is that possible? They are still so young and can contract sacred beasts. Aren't they afraid of being devoured? If they really have sacred beasts, why were they bullied so badly before? Let's go and see. Sima Yue heard that Ouyang Dong had brought a lot of people and quickened her steps, hoping to reach the plaza quickly. When he arrived at the plaza, he saw a group of people gathered outside. Tuoba Yen Air's voice could be heard from within. Ouyang Dong, I said before that they are my friends. I told you not to touch them. Did you turn a deaf ear to my words? Tuoba Yen Er angrily questioned Ouyang Dong. Who dares to not listen to Miss Tuoba's words? However, they killed 3 of our brothers. I cannot ignore this matter, Ouyang Dong said. Otherwise, wouldn't my brothers have died too unjustly? Who will follow me in the future? Don't think that I don't know. It was obviously those people who went to kill Sima Yue first. 3 people ganged up on 1 person. Let's not talk about how shameful it is. You won't even let them take revenge? Tuoba Yen Air said. Since Miss Tuoba said that revenge is allowed, then we can also take revenge for our brothers. Miss Tuoba, please don't get involved in this matter. A black-clothed man beside Ouyang Dong said. Wang Kai, who was behind Tuoba Yen Er, spoke up. Yen Er, this is a grudge between them. Sima Yue and the others killed someone. Are you not going to let them take revenge? Who are you speaking up for? Tuoba Yen Er glanced at Wang Kai. Yen, don't be angry. I'm just speaking the truth. Wang Kai saw that Tuoba Yen Er's eyes were colder than before and knew that she was unhappy. The hatred in his heart towards Sima Yue and the others rose another level. Sima Yue squeezed through the crowd and saw that Sima Yulin and the others were still fine. It seemed that the battle had not started yet. It should be that Tuoba Yen Er had come out to stop it when the battle was about to start. However, the atmosphere between both parties was not good. She walked over and smiled at Sima Yue and the others, standing a step in front of them. You brat, you finally appeared. I thought that you were going to be a coward. Ouyang Dong looked at Sima Yue and thought of how she had kicked him before. His eyes flashed with haze. It's better to give you the title of coward, Sima Yue said. Otherwise, why would you only dare to send people to kill my brothers, but not do it yourself? Do you know that if you do this, you can live for a few more days? Yu. Tuoba Yen Er looked at Sima Yue worriedly. If she said this, wouldn't she be directly confronting the other party? Sima Yue smiled at Tuoba Yen Er, saying, Young Miss Tuoba, thank you. However, this is our own problem. We have to face it ourselves. Tuoba Yen Er thought of what Tuoba Han had told her. Although Sima Yue and the others were from the lower continent, they were not ordinary people. Since she had chosen to confront Ouyang Dong, it meant that she was confident. When the time came for them to confront the Ouyang clan, Han would think of a way. When she thought of this, she nodded and retreated to the side, watching the show with the others. Ouyang Dong saw that Tuoba Yen Er did not care, and heaved a sigh of relief. He was actually really afraid of confronting the Tuoba clan. Now that he saw that Tuoba Yen Er did not care, he was happy. He smiled coldly at Sima Yue and the others and was about to say something, but Sima Yue cut him off. Ouyang Dong, since you said you want revenge, then let's talk about revenge. Sima Yue looked around at the people watching the show. She also wanted to use this matter to give them a warning. Otherwise, they would always disturb their studies and cultivation. You killed our people, and you still want to talk about revenge? Someone laughed coldly. Of course. Sima Yue was tired of standing. She took out a chair and placed it on the ground. She sat down leisurely and did not seem nervous at all. Don't say that those people wanted to kill my 4th brother, because of personal reasons. Anyone with a bit of intelligence would not believe it. Why don't you ask them? She pointed at the people watching the show. Those people shrunk their heads back. If they said that those people had nothing to do with Ouyang Dong because of his identity, then wouldn't they be people without intelligence? Fortunately, Sima Yue did not make things difficult for them. She continued, I believe that everyone here has intelligence. You, young Master Ouyang, also have intelligence. Of course, if the people behind you insist that they have no intelligence and that they have nothing to do with you, then I can't do anything about it. PFFF. The people around did not dare to laugh out loud. However, Tuoba Yen Er did not care and laughed out loud. They did not expect her to have such a side. Ouyang Dong snorted. Since she said this, he did not want to say that those people had nothing to do with him. Since no one believed him, then it would be a joke if he said anything more. Since you admitted that you were the one who asked those people to kill my fourth brother, then tell me, should I ask you, the mastermind, for an explanation? Chapter 560. In 1 second, she remembered, Love Divided by You? Read book web quick update. No pop-up window, free to read. Then tell me, what do you want? Ouyang Dong didn't deny that he was the mastermind, so he went along with what she said. I've always repaid kindness with kindness, and revenge with revenge. I also like to give people a taste of their own medicine. Since you want to kill us, then what we want is simple. Just give us your life. Sima Yu said slowly. Want my life? Ha ha ha, with just a few new students? The people behind Ouyang Fei laughed. Young Master Ouyang, since they want to kill us, then we don't have to be merciful. Ouyang Dong nodded, saying, then let's go to the arena. That's what I was thinking. Sima Yu stood up, saying, let's go, let's see what the arena is like. The arena was a place that the sect provided for everyone to settle their personal grudges. If it was any other place, it would not be allowed. The last time Sima Yu was chased to kill in the school, those people should have been punished by the sect. However, because some of the teachers in the sect treated Ouyang Dong differently, the matter was left unsettled. They went to the arena, and those who were watching the show followed. It had been a long time since they had seen a group fight like this. When they reached the arena, it wasn't much different from the others. It was just that it was a lot bigger. One by one, or all at once. Ouyang Dong looked arrogantly at Sima Yu and the others. One by one is a waste of time. Let's all at once. Sima Yu flew into the arena after speaking, and Sima Yulin and the others followed. Ouyang Dong was just thinking about who to send up. If too many people went up, they would bully them with numbers. If too few went up, they might not be able to defeat them. What are you thinking about? As long as you want our lives, come up at once. Sima Yu's cold voice came from above. This is what you asked for. Ouyang Dong waved his hand, and those people flew up, landing in front of Sima Yu and the others. Wait, there's me too. I want to come up too. Little Tu's voice came from outside the arena. He ran to the bottom of the arena, and wanted to come up. Stop! Sima Yu shouted. Little Tu stopped when he was 2 meters away from the arena. He looked up at Sima Yu and said, Brother, I want to join you guys too. Little Tu, watch from below and cheer for us. Sima Yu said. But I want to be with you. Little Tu, listen to me. Sima Yu gave him a look that told him not to worry, and then said to Ouyang Dong, let's begin. Seeing that Sima Yu did not want him to go up, Little Tu could only stand below the stage and watch them. If you asked for it. There's no rest until one of us dies in the arena. Just wait to go to hell. Ouyang Dong said with a cold smile. Really? The same words are for all of you. This is your last moment. Hurry up and speak. You won't be able to speak in a bit. Sima Yu said. Ha, are you stupid? Su Ling laughed loudly. Look at our numbers and then look at our strength. We're much stronger than you guys. You want to destroy us? What a joke. Whether it's a joke or not, you'll know in a bit. Sima Yu said. Call out all your contracted beasts. She also called out Chongming. Although there were divine sect experts, they were not Chongming's match. However, the reason she called out Chongming wasn't just to deal with them. Chongming, when you make your move, control the surrounding space and slow them down. Sima Yu ordered. Okay. Chongming replied. Other than Chongming, she also called out all her other contracted beasts. Other than Little Dream. You haven't called me out in a long time. Little Roar immediately pounced into Sima Yu's embrace and complained. Didn't I call you out now? Sima Yu poked his head. Other than her, the others also called out their contracted beasts. Seeing that they had at least 2 sacred beasts, everyone present was shocked. Didn't they say that they came from the lower continents? Why are there so many sacred beasts? That's right. We don't have that many sacred beasts. Did they really come from the lower continents? Don't look at those people. Look at the person in the middle. I know that person. She's the only one who chose medicine this year. She's that person? I heard that she's the only one this year. That's why they didn't specially set up a class for her to follow Teacher Gu. She's the one who Teacher Gu approved of as a genius? Yeah, that's her. I'm not talking about her identity. Look at the contracted beasts beside her. SSS, so many contracted beasts. Are these all hers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sacred beasts. How can she have so many sacred beasts? And there are even 2 of them that have transformed. Just what is her identity? That's too unbelievable. Even if it's the people from the inner sect, or the people from the middle regions, no one would have 5 sacred beasts. And I heard that she's only 20 over years old. What? 20 over years old? How is that possible? Not only is she 20 over years old, even the people behind her are only 20 to 30 years old. 20 over years old and she's already a divine rank. There are even some alchemists, array masters, weapon masters, beast tamer masters. Most of the professional masters are weaker than them. But that's too unbelievable. Who knows if their information is fabricated? How could such a genius come from the lower continents? Someone voiced out his doubts. If that's the case, then Ouyangdong has kicked an iron plate. But although they have so many sacred beasts, Ouyangdong has more people. Their abilities are also higher. The final result is still not certain. Then let's wait and see. When Ouyangdong and the others saw that Sima Yu and the others had called out so many sacred beasts, they were momentarily stunned. However, they still didn't think much of them. After all, they had twice the number of people on their side. Furthermore, some of them had sacred beasts as contract beasts. Attack. The moment Sima Yue opened her mouth, Chongming increased the strength of the space, causing the opponent's movements to become slower and lower their battle abilities. But it did not affect Sima Yue and the rest. The moment the 2 sides started to attack, the arena's protective array was activated, trapping the 2 sides in the arena. Fatty Chu saw that their movements had become slower and with a whoosh, he ran over and punched his opponent in the face, sending him flying. Seeing Fatty Chu take care of one person with a punch, the people on the viewing platform shrunk their necks, feeling as if his punch had landed on their faces. Chapter 561. This battle was not an easy one for Sima Yue and the rest. After all, their opponents were generally stronger and had more people. If it was not for Chongming's control of space, they would have no chance of winning. But even though it was difficult, they still won. Ouyangdong and the others were beaten to the ground. Most of them had died, but there were still a few who were struggling at death's door. Sima Yue walked over and stood in front of Su Ling, who was missing an arm, and said, "How was it? I told you that you would lose. I wasn't wrong, right? How do you have so many sacred beasts?" Su Ling, had already been beaten to her last breath. Her voice was very weak. However, Sima Yue still heard it. There are some people you can bully, but there are some people you can't bully in your entire life. Bei Gong is someone you can never bully. It's a pity that you don't understand this logic. After she finished speaking, she turned around and said to Bei Gong Tang, "I'll leave her to you." Bei Gong Tang walked over and looked at Su Ling with a cold gaze. She saw that Su Ling still wanted to speak, but her mind was filled with the words she had said to her mother. Her anger burned away her rationality, and she raised the sword in her hand and stabbed towards Su Ling's chest. Pfff. When the sword was pulled out, fresh blood spurted out. Su Ling looked at the sky unwillingly, not knowing how she died. Shouldn't they be the ones to die? How did it become his? Sima Yuming came beside Ouyangdong and raised the blade in his hand, waving it down. "Stop!" Just as Sima Yuming was brandishing his blade, an anxious voice was heard from outside. Following that, a few figures ran in. When they saw that Ouyangdong had already been killed, the man in the lead was filled with hostility. He flew up and sent Sima Yuming flying, landing in an empty space far away. Second brother. Sima Yue ran over and saw him spitting out a mouthful of blood. She quickly took out a pill and fed it to him. As for the male, after sending Sima Yuming flying, he squatted down and picked up Ouyang Dong. 10th brother, 10th brother. But Ouyang Dong was unable to respond. Ah! The man roared and glared at Sima Yue and the rest. I'm going to kill all of you. Seeing how violent this man was, the people in the stands were shocked. Why is Ouyang Hai here? Today is the day when the inner courtyard students come out. Every time this happens, Ouyang Hai will come here to look for Ouyang Dong. This Ouyang Hai is Ouyang Dong's brother by blood. He's ranked in the top 200 of the inner court fighting list. The last time he came out, he was already a high divine ancestor. Now he's probably even stronger. These people are in danger. The person who spoke looked at Sima Yue sympathetically. They had already defeated Ouyang Dong, but unfortunately, they encountered Ouyang Hai. They were really unlucky. At this moment, 2 more people came in. Tuoba Yen Air, who was sitting on the spectator's stand, saw them and waved at them before running down. Why did you come out? Tuoba Yen Er came to Tuoba Han's side and asked. Today is the day when the inner courtyard allows people to come out. That's why I came to take a look. Tuoba Han said. What's going on? Tuoba Yen Er explained everything and finally said. Han, I just heard people say that this Ouyang Hai is very strong. Yue and the rest are definitely not his match. He's also so protective, so he definitely won't let them go. We have to think of a way to save Yue and the rest. Tuoba Han looked at the person who came out with him. That person shook his head and said, I can't beat him either. Right now, we can only think of a way to get a teacher to step in. Feng Wuhen said. That person shook his head and said, the teachers won't step in for the matters in the arena. Once you're here, life and death are up to fate. Unless the opponent is willing to show mercy, otherwise, no one can do anything about it. This person clearly came here much earlier than them, so he was very clear about the rules here. Then what do we do? Tuoba Yen Er heard him say this and became even more anxious. You don't have to be so anxious. I think she'll have a way to deal with it. Tuoba Han looked at Sima Yue and said. Tuoba Yen Er looked over and saw that although Sima Yue was angry, she wasn't flustered or afraid. It seemed like she didn't care about Ouyang Hai at all. Third bro, you guys take second bro down first. Sima Yuran understood that the opponent was very strong. He was a whole rank higher than them. That was why they would only be hurt if they stayed here. It was better to go down and let Sima Yue deal with him in peace. Want to escape? Not a chance. Ouyang Hai quickly condensed his spirit energy and turned it into a fireball that attacked Sima Yuming and the rest. Chongming. Sima Yue called out. Chongming immediately stood in the middle. When those fireballs flew in front of him, they were immediately frozen and were unable to move forward. Disperse. Halcyon shouted, and those fireballs really did disperse into the air. Spatial Spirit Beast. Ouyang Hai recognized Chongming's move and said coldly, It's a pity that you're not my opponent. I've never thought of being your opponent. Chongming said. At least you know your place. Ouyang Hai sneered. Chongming didn't speak. When he saw the opponent's spirit energy attack again, he used the same move to disperse it. Young Miss Tuoba, can you help me take down an array stone from the pillar? Sima Yue asked Tuoba Yener. What do you want to do? Tuoba Yener asked. Send them out. Sima Yue pointed at Sima Yulin and the rest who were standing at the edge of the battle stage. Because Ouyang Hai attacked just now, the protective array was activated again, and everyone was trapped inside. Okay. Tuoba Yen walked to the side of the pillar and took down a small stone. The protective array immediately disappeared. Sima Yue waited for Sima Yulin and the rest to go down before indicating for her to put the array stone back. The protective array was activated again. How did he know that the array would disappear if he took that small stone? Everyone was shocked. Because he's an array master. He naturally knows how to break the array. Tuoba Yena said. A dash when she walked over. She saw that Chongming was injured. Eat the pill, Lin Feng said. Sima Yue took out the pill and placed it in his hand. Then she asked Ouyang Hai. Who are you? I'm Ouyang Dong's brother. You actually let them go down and left you alone. You're not even enough for me to squeeze my fist. Ouyang Hai said. Is that so? Sima Yue smiled. Just now your brother said that they would win today. What happened in the end? The difference in strength between us is too big. Killing you is already an easy task. Today don't even think about escaping. Ouyang Hai said as he glared at Sima Yulin and the rest. Escape? I just hope that you won't say escape later. Sima Yue said with a cold smile. You want me to escape just because of you? What a joke. Who said it was me? I didn't say that I wanted you to fight. Sima Yue looked at Ouyang Hai and smiled. Chapter 562. Everyone looked at Sima Yue's smile and felt a chill down their spines. Why do I feel that? Yue's smile is. Tuoba Yin Air wanted to describe her feelings, but she couldn't find the right words. At least she will be fine. Tuoba Han said. Brother, why did you come out? Feng Wuhan came over and asked the person beside Tuoba Han. I knew you were here, so I came out to take a look, Feng Yuhang said. Brother, Yue and the others once saved us, Feng Wuhan hinted. I know, Han has already told me. Feng Yuhang said, but in the arena, it's not something we can control. Tuoba Han went to the inner courtyard. The two of them met and talked about the assessment. They talked about the danger they encountered in the Glaze Mirage, and how they were saved by Sima Yue. But now that the gladiator arena was closed, there was nothing they could do. Don't worry. It's not certain who will be the unlucky one in the end. Tuoba Han said. Look, aren't they also not worried? Feng Wuhan and the others followed Tuoba Han's gaze and looked over. Sima Yulin and the others were standing below the stage. They did not look worried at all. Ouyang Hai looked at Sima Yue. He didn't understand her words, but he didn't think too much about it. Instead, he pointed at the beasts beside her and said, although you have a lot of contracted beasts, their strength isn't high. Let's see if you can still be so arrogant after I kill them one by one. His murderous aura permeated the entire area. Most people would tremble when they felt this murderous aura, but Sima Yue did not have any reaction at all. Her beastie even transformed into Little Roar, with Little Roar directly facing him with his butt. Such contempt made Ouyang Hai even angrier. However, he was not as impulsive as Ouyang Dong. When he saw Sima Yue's beasts acting this way, he did not immediately attack. General Honor, someone wants to kill Little Rock. Why aren't you coming out to save us? After Sima Yue finished speaking, Honor Rock appeared in the arena. Seeing the sudden appearance of the humanoid beast, everyone was shocked again. Could it be that she had a contract beast? That's not her contracted beast, Feng Yuhang said confidently. Yes, he doesn't have a contractual relationship with us. He should be free. Tuoba Han said. Who are you? Ouyang Hai looked at the person who suddenly appeared and asked warily. Honor Rock. Ouyang Hai frowned. The name sounded familiar, but he couldn't remember who it was. Sima Yue kindly reminded him. Do you know that the four-winged rocks have 4 generals? Hearing her say this, Ouyang Hai subconsciously took a step back, pointed at Honor Rock and said, You are one of the 4 great generals, General Honor. You're from the four-winged rocks. You're quite knowledgeable, Sima Yue said. General Rong, why are you with humans? Did you recognize a human as your master? Ouyang Hai suppressed the fear that was gradually rising in his heart and forced himself to calm down. If he faced Honor Rock, then he really did not have any chance of winning at all. Not to mention him. Even his family members would not dare to provoke the four-winged rocks. Why were they with Sima Yue? You want to kill my king? Honor Rock said coldly. His goal was to protect Little Rock, and even Little Rock's contracted master was the target of their protection. Now that someone wanted to kill her, wasn't that the same as killing their king? General Honor, we didn't kill your king. Is there a misunderstanding here? Ouyang Hai said. How could it be a misunderstanding? Little Roar jumped onto Sima Yue's shoulder and pointed at him with his little claws, scolding. You want to kill us? You are you. And the four-winged rocks are the four-winged rocks. How could you be connected? Young-hai said. Little Roar rolled his eyes at him and said disdainfully, Are you stupid? Little Rock is Yu's contracted beast, and is also the king of the rocks. If you want to kill us, isn't that the same as killing the king of the rocks? You want to kill their king, and you say there's no connection? Do you have no intelligence? You're the king of the rocks? Young-hai looked at Little Rock in disbelief. Little Rock, if people don't believe you, then show your original form for them to see. Sima Yue took 2 steps back and took out a chair to sit down. Little Roar slid onto her lap and sat down. Little Rock showed his original form and flew around the arena once before landing beside Sima Yue. Seeing the golden-winged rock, everyone then remembered the big thing that happened to the rocks recently. I remember now. Previously, the king of the rocks appeared in the southern 7th prefecture's four-winged rocks and turned into the golden-winged rock. He even exterminated the Goshawk clan. I never thought that the king of the rocks would actually be here. The king of the rocks. I actually saw it with my own eyes. I never thought that he would actually be the contracted master of the king of the rocks. This is too shocking. Previously, I thought that it was just a few freshmen going up against the Oyangs. Now, it seems like the Oyangs have kicked an iron plate. Tuoba Yen Air's eyes widened as her mouth opened slightly in shock. Her face was filled with disbelief. No wonder Sima Yue wasn't afraid of the Oyangs at all. She never thought that he would be the contracted master of the king of the rocks. The king of the rocks. That meant that the entire rocks would listen to him. This identity, compared to her Tuoba clan's young miss, was countless times better. Young-hai's face was even uglier than constipation. Looking at his own corpse on the ground, he wished he could stab it twice more. It was fine if he usually caused trouble, but now he actually provoked the king of the rocks. This was a huge problem for the clan. Perhaps the Oyangs wouldn't be afraid of a single bird clan. However, how many clans were there in the rocks? Dozens. Hundreds. If they were all gathered together, the Oyangs would probably be exterminated until nothing was left. General Honor, this person wanted to kill me just now. This kind of vicious and merciless person who doesn't know right from wrong, you should just take care of him. Little Rock said. Yes, King. Honor Rock didn't have any mercy towards humans. Furthermore, this was just someone at the peak of divine overlord. In just one move, Young-hai was exterminated. After looking around, he returned to Sima Yue's side. Under his sharp gaze, everyone on the stage shrunk their necks, especially those who had caused trouble for Sima Yulu and the others. Sima Yue, I'm not someone who likes to cause trouble, but I'm not afraid of it either. If you don't provoke us, we won't cause trouble for you. However, if you challenge my patience again and again, what happened today may happen in the future. Sima Yue warned those people. With one side dead, the protective array of the arena automatically closed. She stood up and kept her spirit beasts and chairs before stepping over the corpses on the ground. Bei Gong, you guys take second brother back first. They were more or less injured just now, but it wasn't as serious as Sima Yuming's. Yu. Tuoba Han walked over and greeted her. You came out as well. Since you're here, come along. I'll give you something. Chapter 563. Prince Sima, can we go together? Feng Yuhang asked. Sima Yue glanced at Feng Yuhang. She did not know who he was. I'm Feng Yuhang, Wuhan's brother. Feng Yuhang introduced himself with a smile. I came out with Han this time. Feng family? She nodded and went to find someone who specialized in disposing of corpses. After they were done, she brought Tuoba Han and the others to the courtyard. Wang Kai and Mu Lin wanted to tag along, but Sima Yue smiled apologetically and said, My brothers are all injured, so it's not good to have too many people. Then we'll visit you next time. Mu Lin and Wang Kai said awkwardly. After they left, Sima Yue brought Tuoba Han and the other 3 to their courtyard. Wait for a moment, I'll go and see my second brother first. Sima Yue led them to the living room, made them tea, and then went out. After Sima Yuming came back, he fell asleep. After eating some pills, he looked much better now. Sima Yuran was taking care of him from the side. Third brother, after what happened today, the people in the academy won't dare to harass you anymore. I have something to do, so I might be away for 2 days. Sima Yue said. Is it related to Tuobahan? Sima Yuran asked. Okay. Sima Yue nodded and left after giving a few more instructions. When they returned to the living room, they had just finished drinking their tea. However, only Tuobahan and Feng Yuhang were left in the room. Where's Miss Tuoba? I sent him back, Feng Yuhang said. Tuobahan nodded, saying, there are some things that she cannot know yet. It seems that Master Tuoba trusts Master Feng a lot, Sima Yue said. There were a few times when I was in danger, and it was Hang who saved me, Tuobahan said without hiding anything. So he also knows about my situation. Sima Yue saw this and did not say anything else. She walked to the seat beside him and sat down, saying, let me take your pulse first. All right. Tuobahan placed his hand on the tea table. Sima Yue touched his hand and checked his condition carefully. Feng Yuhang looked at her serious expression. She was no longer as fierce as she was in the arena. After a while, she retracted her hand and said, it seems that the injection I gave you last time was effective. Your condition didn't worsen. I can feel it too. My body is better than before. Even my cultivation speed is faster than before. Tuobahan said. How often can you come out of the inner yard? She had to arrange his situation according to the time. 3 months, Tuobahan replied. 3 months. Sima Yue tapped her finger on the table and thought for a while before saying, since that's the case, I'll give you acupuncture today and make some pills for you. Then he would come out once every 3 months. It should be completely resolved within a year. A year? Feng Yuhang exclaimed softly. Sima Yue thought that he felt that a year was too long and explained. A year is a conservative estimate. Because I need to make the antidote herbs, I have to think of a way to mix all the herbs together. It would be best if I could make a pill. The most important thing is that I don't have all the herbs on hand, and it will take some time to find them. However, I think a year should be enough. Young Master Sima, you misunderstood. I didn't say that a year is too long. Feng Yuhang explained. I was just shocked that a year could cure his body. This time is unexpectedly short. I just said that a year is a conservative estimate. If the medicine is prepared smoothly, it won't even take a year, Sima Yue said. Write down the herbs you need for me. I'll get someone to prepare them. Tuobahan was excited when he heard that the poison in his body could be cured within a year. He had been tortured by this poison for decades. Now that he heard about a year, he felt as if he was in a dream. I don't need that for now, Sima Yue said. I have to study what I need. I'll tell you the next time you come. Right now, I want you to let out some blood for me. Let out some blood? Feng Yuhang and Tuobahan were stunned. Who would let out some blood to cure someone? She couldn't be asking him to let out all the blood in his body, right? Sima Yue saw their expressions and knew that they had misunderstood. She explained. I'm not asking you to let out a lot of blood. Here, just fill up this bowl. Seeing Sima Yue take out a bowl that was bigger than a wash basin, Tuobahan's mouth twitched. He said, Yue, you want me to fill this bowl? If he let it out, how much blood would there be in his body? Wouldn't it all be drained? Sima Yue was originally thinking about something. When she heard Tuobahan's question, she turned her head and looked at the container that she took out that was bigger than a wash basin. She smiled awkwardly and kept the container away. After that, she took out a big bowl and said, Cough cough, I took the wrong one. I took the wrong one. Just fill this up. Tuobahan saw the big bowl and heaved a sigh of relief. Although this bowl was still a little big, it was still many times smaller than the previous one. He took out a dagger and made a cut on his arm. Then he poured the blood into the bowl. Very quickly, the bowl was filled to the brim. When it was done, Sima Yue took out some medicinal powder and sprinkled it on his wound. The blood stopped flowing immediately. The wound even showed signs of stuttering. Seeing his pale face, she took out a pill and handed it to him, saying, Eat this pill. It'll replenish your blood. Tuobahan wanted to say that a man didn't need to replenish his blood. However, when he saw the bowl full of blood, he silently swallowed the pill. Feng Yuheng was very interested in Sima Yoyue's medicinal powder. He asked, Yue, what was that medicinal powder? Hemostasis powder. Sima Yue took the bowl back. This was something that she would need when she was researching the antidote. You made it? Feng Yuheng asked. I've seen other people's hemostasis powder not as effective as yours. It's an exclusive recipe. I'm the only one, Sima Yue said. Then can you give us some? I mean, sell some to us, Feng Yuheng said. Sima Yue lowered her eyes and remained silent for a while. Then she looked up at him and said, It's not impossible if you want it. However, I want to ask you something. Ask me? Feng Yuheng wasn't the only one who was shocked. Tuoba Han was also shocked. Didn't they just meet? Why would she have something to ask him? Yes. Sima Yue looked at him with certainty. She wanted to ask him and not Tuoba Han. Although he was shocked, in order to get Sima Yoyue's hemostasis powder, he still said gentlemanly, Ask me anything. If I know, I'll definitely tell you. Sima Yue took out a jade pendant. She looked at him and asked, Do you know this jade pendant? Feng Yuheng saw the jade pendant and walked over. He grabbed Sima Yoyue's hand and asked, How did you get this jade pendant? Chapter 564. Tuoba Han saw that Feng Yuheng was so agitated and pulled his hand, saying, Hang, don't be so agitated. You're hurting her. Feng Yuheng let go of Sima Yoyue's hand and said, Sorry, I was too agitated. Sima Yoyu rubbed her wrist that had already turned red from the pinch and frowned, saying, You recognize this jade pendant? Feng Yuheng took a deep breath and turned to Tuoba Han, saying, Han, please leave us for a moment. Tuoba Han saw Feng Yuheng's serious expression and stood up, saying, I'll wait for you outside. He left after speaking. Feng Yuheng looked at the jade pendant and asked, How did you get this jade pendant? You know about this jade pendant? Sima Yue guessed from his expression. This is my Feng family's jade pendant. How did you get it? Sima Yue saw his anxious expression and only had worry in her eyes, saying, Someone gave it to me. Who is it? Where is he? Feng Yuheng asked impatiently. Tell me where this jade pendant came from first. I want to see if it's like what you said, Sima Yue said. This is a jade pendant that only the Feng family's legitimate descendants have. Every jade pendant represents their identity. The Feng family would not casually give this jade pendant away. You should tell me now. How did you get this jade pendant? Do you know Feng Zhixing? Sima Yue asked. How do you know my uncle's name? Did you get this jade pendant from him? Do you know my uncle's whereabouts? Where is he? Feng Yuheng asked several questions in a row. Sima Yue heard his words and suddenly had a bad premonition. Didn't he say he went back to the family? Why didn't he go back? Uncle is back. No, he's been missing for several years. Feng Yuheng said. He turned the jade pendant over and saw a small word on the back. His expression was both happy and worried. This is indeed my uncle's jade pendant. Where did you meet my uncle? Do you know where he is now? Sima Yue saw that Feng Yuheng did not seem to be lying and said, I don't know where he is now. Back then, he said that his family had something to do and he had to go back. He said that he had some conflict with the Sage Pavilion and had to leave. He left this jade pendant and said that when he came to the primordial lands in the future, he could use this jade pendant to find a shop with this symbol. Then he left. Feng Yuheng stared straight at Sima Yue. Why should I believe you? Sima Yue smiled and said, Why should I believe you? Feng Yuheng took out a jade pendant. It was similar to Feng Zhixing's jade pendant, but one side was slightly different. This kind of jade pendant can only be possessed by a direct descendant of the Feng family. Feng Yuheng placed the two jade pendants together. This is enough to prove my relationship with my uncle. But if you can't prove your relationship with my uncle, then you will become a clue to my uncle's disappearance. Sima Yue looked at the two similar jade pendants and said, I'll believe you for now. As she spoke, she released Feng Zhixing's aura. It was the soul imprint that she had left behind. Uncle's aura. Feng Yuhang said excitedly. Then he thought of something and looked at her strangely. Soul imprint. This is actually a soul imprint. What is your relationship with my uncle that he would leave a soul imprint to protect you? He is my master, Sima Yue said. Since my master is your uncle, then you should know about him. What do you think happened to his disappearance? Uncle is different from us. He did not grow up in the central regions. I have only seen him a few times when I was young. Feng Yuhang said. The last time the family was in trouble, we sent someone to ask him to come back, but he never came back. Later on, we found out that he had received our message and was delayed by something. That was why he did not come back. But when we tried to contact him again, we could not reach him. That was why we said that he was missing. But it seems that our direction has always been wrong. What direction? We always thought that Uncle went missing when he came out of the inner regions. That was why we were searching in the direction of the inner regions. But according to what you said, he did not go missing when he came out of the inner regions. He went from Yilin continent. Sima Yue said. He went missing when he came up from the Yilin continent. Feng Yuhang said. If that's really the case, then we are searching in a different direction. No wonder we could not find anything after so many years. No, I have to hurry and inform the family about this. I will disturb you again next time. Goodbye. Hey, wait a minute. Sima Yue saw that he was really going to leave and grabbed his arm. What? Return my master's jade pendant to me. Sima Yue pointed at the jade pendant in his hand. Feng Yuhang hesitated for a moment, but still handed the jade pendant to Sima Yue. I hope you can take good care of Uncle's jade pendant. With that, he opened the door and walked out. Sima Yue sat back on the chair and looked at the jade pendant in her hand. She started to panic. Master went missing? He should have gone missing when he came back. Then where had he been all these years? But there was one thing that made her feel more at ease. No matter where he was, at least he was still alive. If he was already dead, then the soul imprint he left behind would also disappear. She touched her forehead with her right hand and said, Master, where are you? I will definitely find you. Tuobahan walked in and saw that Sima Yue seemed to have lost her soul and said, Yue, what did you say to Feng Yuhang? He actually left in such a hurry? We talked about some things regarding the Feng family. Sima Yue kept the jade pendant and said, Let's go to my brother's bedroom. Then I will perform acupuncture for you. Okay. Tuobahan saw that Sima Yue was unwilling to say more, so he didn't ask any more and followed her to a bedroom. An hour later, Sima Yue finished performing acupuncture for him. He had just put on his clothes when Tuoba Yin-er hurriedly ran over and said, Han, what happened to Brother Feng? He found Wu Hen and ran away with him. He didn't even reply to me when I was talking behind him. Tuoba Han glanced at Sima Yue and said, It's nothing. It should be something that happened to their family. It's good that it's nothing, Tuoba Yin-er said. All right, let's go back, Tuoba Han said. Tuoba Yin-er looked at Tuoba Han, and then looked at Sima Yue. Although she was a little curious as to why they were together for so long, she saw that the two of them didn't want to talk about it, so she tactfully didn't ask. She wanted to wait until they went back and slowly ask. After Tuoba Yin-er and Tuoba Han left, Sima Yue went to look for Bei Gongtang and the others. Feng Zhixing was their teacher back then. Now that he had disappeared, she wanted to tell them. Yue, come with me quickly. Feng Wuhen suddenly barged into the courtyard and grabbed Sima Yue's hand and dragged her out. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.